Hello, everybody. Az here. Welcome back to the channel. It is really, really great to have Russ back on the show today. We have so much to get into. We've both been to see the new Michael biopic, and we really, really just going to we're going to hit the ground running today. Russ, how are you, my friend? How
I
are you?
am
How are you feeling?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Wonderful. I
Good.
like
Good.
it is a Michael Jackson world, and I am all the way here for it. Like we'll get into it, but like even the last 24 hours, especially since the movie opened here in the US, has just been like the most glorious time to be an MJ fan. And there's these little pockets that we have to celebrate
Hmm.
as as a Michael fan, and which is insane to me. Like having grown up through the Thriller era, like it's insane to me that there's these little pockets we have to celebrate now. But man, when they happen, I will take them. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, like, I mean, the last time I spoke to you, the difference between now and then, it's like we're living in a completely different world. So there was like the pre-Michael world, and there's like the post-Michael world now. And this seems to have sort of taken on a life of its own now, Russ, and it's
Mhm.
becoming almost this sort of cultural phenomenon around the world.
Yeah.
You've got sort of just all corners of the globe now are coming out and showing up for Michael.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, what were the expectations for this? I mean, could we have foreseen this? Is this surely this has exceeded everything
I mean,
anyone
in
could
every
ever.
way, in every way, and like we've talked about this before a little bit the last time we talked, where um the the media is going to do what they're going to do, right? Like they're always going to drag Michael down no matter what, right?
Right.
But you talk about, and I know we've talked about this before, it is 5:59 in the US right now,
Wow.
and I I,
Wow.
I didn't even cross the
AM.
I didn't even cross the threshold of my home until 1 a.m. last night. Then we spun some records, a little bit of Howard Jones and some other things when I got home last night. Then I finally went to the couch.
Hmm.
I went to the couch because my wife is a saint and I wanted her to be able to sleep. She's still sleeping now like a normal girl, right?
She needs her beauty sleep.
Yeah, and it's 5:59 a.m. in the US right now, and I am like fired up and ready to talk about this because you talk about all-time backfires. The media went in on Michael on like Monday evening or Tuesday, whatever the embargo was lifted. And these people, excuse me while I adjust my glove. Uh these these people went in on Michael on Monday, and I
Absolutely, my friend.
I can
Absolutely.
I can only imagine the amount of smug that must have gone on in their little group chats and their little chain emails.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
yes, we're going to bury this film, and watch watch this. We're gonna tell people, what. And man, like it's not even about us showing up from the entire world said in one voice, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, no, no. That will be quite enough of you telling us that this Michael Jackson focused, Michael Jackson positivity focused piece isn't something we want to see.
Right.
I am like I'm not kidding you. I'm like near choked up about it. It is insane to me in the best way.
So do we have in part almost the media to thank because it was such a coordinated, agenda-driven
Oh,
takedown, Ross, and it seems to have actually sort of helped the algorithm, worked against them,
and
and
when you talk about coordinated, you know,
Mhm.
you
Oh
know,
my god.
Michael Jackson fans get a lot of uh, directed attacks because
Condescension, snide
yeah.
remarks,
Oh,
backhanded
yes,
insults.
you guys are making things up. You guys take things out of
They're
context.
paranoid.
Look, when every single review uses ignorant remarks like Saint Michael, um, when every single review, okay, I watched 3 different video reviews, and you notice I'm using 3 different, sequence. Other things could do that. 3 I watched 3 different reviews on, Wednesday in the day that all use the same verbiage to call out the Beat It scene as, quote, "cheesy and made up."
Mm.
Now, and we'll get into this.
We'll
Look,
get
no,
into
no,
it. We'll get into it.
as a Michael fan, the scene itself and how it was, done,
Mhm.
that's a whole different discussion. But
Yeah.
what they were calling out was that it was, quote, "made up." Okay? I watched 3 professional reviews in a row
Right.
where now these are people who are supposed it's their, again, professional duty to be informing the public, right?
Mhm.
So these are people who are supposed to be informing the public about the subject matter that they're reviewing. And all 3 of them, you could tell, were given a script to say, "That didn't happen."
100%.
Right?
100%.
But it did happen, though. And the thing here's the thing, I don't like, the media needs you to live in a world of fear and division, uh, because those things sell,
Absolutely.
right? And
100%. This is the prime example
yeah,
of what you're talking about, Russ.
mhm, and
100%.
and as Wednesday went on, and you only need to look back to the video that you and I did before. I have been apprehensive about this movie for so long. And as Wednesday went on, the more I saw the mainstream media's reviews, the more I literally kept saying out loud, "Oh, I'm gonna love this movie."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like, "Oh, well, this movie was made for us." Like the mainstream media hates this thing. And
Yeah.
I just was like, "Oh, they got scripts and everything." Like, to follow. They got the St. Michael thing, they were all told to say the Beat It thing never happened, and I just thought, what a dumb thing to point to pick and say this now, like, you can literally Google and find out that the Beat It thing happened. Like, why pick a thing that you can prove happened
Yeah.
and just
Absolutely.
decide that that's the thing you're gonna say didn't happen? You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, I
I
it's
mean, I'll be honest, Russ. So when the embargo was lifted, I'll be honest, I was a little bit hurt initially. I was expecting the backlash to come, and I was ready for it. But I just the fact it felt so coordinated, so as you said, like calling Saint Michael, and they're making him out to be Jesus, and all of that. All they did in the movie was they told Michael's story up until that point, and somebody pointed out, I think it was Julia on one of the forums, that Michael, Michael's life wasn't about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And he was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. He was very isolated from his family. He was very sensitive, and lived in that sort of bubble, over the thumb of his father. So there was nothing scandalous for the media to sort of kind of kind of say, "Ha, I got you." You know, this is who he is. This is, and of course they had to then Ross bring the allegations into it, even though we all know the situation with the script rewrites, the reshoots. They couldn't legally include it in the first movie, and they're trying to sort that out for the second movie. Um, but I was hurt initially, but then reading the fan feedback and seeing the reaction, people have showed up. I think people have just have had enough. They've just had enough of the media takedown.
Mhm.
The
And here's my thing with the, the allegations and everything. I I did a video at least a year ago, maybe longer, on my channel, and this is not a shameless plug.
Mhm.
But I did.
Go ahead.
Well,
Full
no,
word.
I did a video that was like what I want from the biopic, right? And one of the things I remember saying in the video, and I think I speak for MJ fans when I say this, we want the allegations included. We want the truth out there, right? Here's my thing. Like, we all know there's a
Yeah,
sequel coming now. I think it's fair that we can get into spoiler territory, if you can call it that. The film ends exactly the way I wanted it to. As soon as I saw the very first poster, when it said his story begins, I literally said to my wife, I said, if there is a God in heaven, no matter how this film, like, when this film fades to black, it will say his story continues. You can check that story with my wife. I told her that one the day the first time I saw
yeah,
poster, and literally in the theater the other night when it went to black and it said his story continues, I literally turned to my wife. I said, "Yes." Right? Um, we we want that to, like, none of us are hiding from, we don't have anything
Nothing.
to hide, right? So
Nothing.
when
Nothing.
they continue this, the media that is salivating so hard about this, they're gonna hate that anyways. Because when you tell the truth about the allegations against Michael Jackson, it's so much less than the media wants you to think that it is. It's so
Absolutely.
straightforward, right? Um, and I already know how those reviews are gonna go, you know. Oh,
Yeah,
well, they talk about the rest of his life, but they give their version of it. No, there isn't their version. There isn't their version, there isn't your version. There's what happened. And
absolutely.
you've been telling your version for 4 decades now. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like,
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Russ.
yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. So, okay. So going in, okay. So I sort of told myself I didn't have any expectations, but one can't help. Russ, we're fans for decades. We're lifelong fans. I had preconceptions. I had certain expectations. Um, the movie, I will say, I don't think the movie is perfect, but I, and it took me a few days to process it. I'm still processing it. But
Mhm.
what was your initial? Okay, so you're sitting down in the theater, starting something comes on. What is going on in your mindset? What is your feelings, and how are you taking all of this in?
So, I will say the very first thought I had when you're there and you're in the theater, and again, you know, Michael fans are we're an emotional bunch. And, as soon as his feet glided across the screen, I just instantly choked up, and I was just like, I can't. This is it. Like, no pun intended. This is,
Mhm.
it's happening. Like, this is, and then you start to hear the wannabe starting something, and then I instantly had a little bit of a letdown, because when you see him walking toward the stage at Wembley and he's, jumping up and down, I literally was like, okay, this is, th- they're absolutely gonna flash back to the beginning, which is every music biopic, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like, "Crap, the media the media has a point. This is gonna be formulaic. Crap."
Yeah.
You know? And then and I people can leave comments, whatever. I think once it does the flashback,
Hmm.
I think the media is so wrong. I don't think it's formulaic at all from there. Like, it's formulaic in as much as it tells his life in for the most part in order,
Hmm.
but like it doesn't do what music biopics do. And I was just explaining this to someone last night who went and saw it at the same time as me, but in a different theater.
Right.
And he goes, he was saying to me, he goes, I can't explain it, but it was just different than the normal music. And I said, I'll explain it to you. I said, I said, you know that scene in Ray where him and his wife have an argument, and then his wife leans over the table heavily, and at some point in the argument, his wife goes and blah 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 blah. And if you don't like it, you can hit the road, Jack. And then
Right.
Ray goes, hmm. And then you hear the piano notes, and then they show Ray, and he, that's right, hit the road, Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I
Yeah.
said, that's every music biopic.
Yeah.
Every music biopic, somebody says a thing to someone, and then somebody goes, "Hmm," and then they show them right in the big hit, right? There was no point in this film where someone said, "Michael, this girl says you got her pregnant." "Well, that kid is not my son." "Wait a minute." You
So there was nothing inserted
know
to.
what I mean? Like, there it's
Yeah.
and again, to go back to the, media and their complete and utter, horse doo doo, as Michael would say, um, they presented all of their reviews as if that's what we were gonna see, and that's just not what you see. Um, and, like, so at the very beginning, that was my very first thought, and then as soon as that washed away, I was just like, That's not what this is gonna be. That's not what
Yeah.
this is gonna be."
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, what was it then, Russ? Because obviously it had the rewrites and the reshoots. And I mean, the pacing for me, I suppose. Now, don't get me wrong. I just also want to say before I sort of get into it, really, I loved the movie. I loved what it gave us. Not perfect, but for me, like the pacing. So we had like the early days. Now, actually, I love that they included the song "Big Boy," which was their first recording before they'd went to Motown. We also had "Stand." We had some really beautiful inclusions of the early Jackson 5 material.
mhm,
Um, but for me, I think and I love the movie. I love the movie.
mhm,
But for me, with the pacing, so we were at the Jackson 5, we were at the J5, and then it was sort of fast forward to 78 or 79, maybe 78 for the
mhm.
making of Off the Wall, um, with Quincy Jones. And I just think there could have been maybe a little bit more sort of context. How did you sort of find the pacing, and did it line up to you as a sort of cohesive story?
Well, I I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try and hold off on some things because
Okay.
there like, as far as pacing, there's 2 major issues that I had where I was just like, "What?" Like, throughout the movie, so I'll hold off on those, but the time period you're talking about specifically,
Mm,
um, here's my thing. So, we talked about this in detail in the last, video. You know, I was 7 years old when Thriller came out. I, as a 7-year-old who grew up in Detroit, little white kid, I had no idea that Michael Jackson existed, nor the Jackson 5, nor anyone, right? When Thriller dropped, for all intents and purposes, I was like, "Would you look at this new artist?" You know what I mean? Like, this could have just been a guy that got signed for all I knew, right?
right.
Um, and so you go down the rabbit hole, right? Uh,
Rabbit hole.
so when Thriller drops and he becomes the biggest thing in the world, thanks in part to, the record label being like, "Hey, here's a new compilation that we're gonna, milk You know, I bought, and actually I should have brought it in. There was a really good compilation that was like a hands down a cashing in compilation. But here in
But
the
good
US,
nonetheless, really good nonetheless,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but nonetheless, a really good one.
Mm.
KTEL Records here in the US released this really good compilation, called like, it was like Michael Jackson 12 original hits with the Jackson 5 or something. I have the LP out there. Um, it was all news to me. Never Can Say Goodbye, ABC, all this, right? It was all news to me.
Mm.
Anyways, um, it wasn't until hell, 95, 96, 97 that I even realized that Michael had any sort of career between the Jackson 5 and Off the Wall. Okay, at least I'm speaking from a US standpoint, right? So, and I think that a lot of people don't really realize that. Like I mean, there's huge sections of I don't want to say Michael Jackson fans, but music fans who don't know that like Triumph is a thing, Destiny is a thing, like the Jackson's live album, like so with the movie, like, but there's a huge section of the public that thinks like Michael Jackson was a little kid with the Jackson 5, and then Thriller happened. Like, I mean, there's a large section of the public that doesn't even realize even that like Off the Wall was a thing. You know what I mean? So watching that portion of the film, I totally agree with you from a Michael Jackson fan standpoint, but from the general public standpoint, I don't think you're going to talk to anyone who goes, "Man, I wish they would have covered Forever Michael." Or like, you know what I mean? Like, um,
100%. Ross,
you
everybody
know
I
what I
spoke
mean?
to
Yeah.
everybody I spoke to after the movie loved it. And I mean, it wasn't just, yeah, it was okay. It was like, oh, it was incredible. I loved it. It was
Mhm.
unbelievable. It was amazing. And that's what it is. Like, so we're sitting down, and I'm guilty of it with my fan head on, and I'm sort of saying, this isn't there, and this is the general public. They don't need to get bogged down with semantics and all of the little intricate things along the way, and you've got a 2 hour time running time to sort of fit as much in as possible. I mean, the visuals, the cinematography, Russ, what was your feeling? I thought it was
Oh,
just beautiful. I
you
thought it
know,
was beautiful.
this is kind of funny. I almost wanted to bring it up and show it, but I can't for confidentiality reasons. But one of my superiors at work, um, one thing that she does on the side, uh, which is as much of a focus as what she does for our job, is she's a screenwriter. Um,
Oh, wow.
and she went with her mom to see the film at the exact. She lives 2 hours away from me, but she went at the
Okay.
exact same time as us to see it
Mhm.
on Wednesday night. And um, her mom is the same age as I am, and so she's I think in her late 20s, maybe early 30s. But having said that, she's a screenwriter, by profession. Like and by profession, I mean she's been paid for scripts and whatnot. Okay. So although we work together on our day job, she has been, so she knows films, is what I'm saying. Thursday morning, well, I'm sorry, Wednesday night, I received a series of texts from her all in capitals. That
Oh,
was
absolutely.
yeah. Start with OMG. I have to talk to you about this. What does your schedule look like tomorrow? Blah blah blah. And then Thursday morning, I literally came into work, and I wish I could show you this, but again, confidentiality. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Thursday morning, I came into work to an Outlook invite on my professional calendar from one of my superiors that said,
Wow.
uh, Michael Jackson discussion. Like it was an Outlook.
Wow.
And I was like, I've never accepted a professional invite in my life faster than this. Um, and we talked about the movie for like an hour. And and um part of the discussion was just me as an elder and her as a younger person, her going, I never understood what a big deal. I never understood he was that lonely. I didn't know that he really was that giving, like her, under, and me going, um, which by the way, we'll get into this. Music biopics make things up about people all the time, and they showed that Michael is that guy. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that-
Absolutely.
that-
Absolutely.
God, I get angry
Mm.
over this. You know, you have half your head burned off, and the first thing you do is go and look at people who have it worse than you. That's why we love Michael, and no media, they didn't make that up. He was that guy. That
He was that guy. He
um
was that guy.
and she wasn't saying it from a cynical standpoint. It wasn't like, hey, did that? She was like, is that real? And I said, yeah. And she was like, oh my God. He Yeah, I said, yes, that happened, right? Um, that was half the discussion. The other half of the discussion was her from a filmmaker standpoint. So she just kept going, this movie was shot so beautifully. The cinematography was beautiful, Um, and she had the same issues with like the pacing and the script that I did, which we'll get into. Um,
Mhm.
and she asked me, okay, so do you think this happened because of this, that, or the other thing? And I kept telling her, and this is the same thing I keep telling other people. And I was just speaking to a DJ last night about this. Um, and we'll get into this too with like what you didn't like about the movie.
Mhm.
Michael Jackson lived such a fantastical life that if you're going to tell a truly accurate version of his story, no pun intended, you're looking at 2 hours for every 5 years of his life.
Yeah.
You you know, um, I mean, that's a fact. To cover 19, 70 to 75, 75 to 80, 80 to 85.
It's too much. There's too much
I
there,
mean,
Rob. There
the
is
man the
too
man
much.
lived a life that no one else lived, even like, I had a front row seat to it. So many other of the rest of us had a front row seat to it, and I still there are things that happen,
Mm.
and I'm talking about, like, from a casual fan standpoint. There are things that happen that even if they would have included in the film, would have added another 10, 20, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much,
There's so much.
and the more I reflect on this film, the more I think they did everything they could for the time span they covered. Um, like, for the time span they covered, I think they did. I think they told us as much as they could in the time span that they did. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. What did you think of the young Michael Jackson, Giuliano Valdi?
Mm,
What did you think of seeing him on the screen? Did you think he made a good young Michael Jackson?
I'll tell you this much: I think that and I no, absolutely no shade to Jafar at all, because Jafar was everything you're hearing about, in my opinion. Every bit
Right.
of praise you're hearing about Jafar. But I do think that Julian is just not getting anywhere near the credit he deserves. He was amazing. And
He was incredible.
um here's a point that and again, I was explaining this to someone last night. To play young Michael Jackson, for in my opinion, is
Yeah.
more than just um making sure you can lip sync Who's Loving You well, or, putting the hat on
Mm.
sideways and doing the in the feet. There's more to it than that. You have to
There's more
well,
nuance. Yeah.
well, you have to have the spark that makes the audience see the same thing that Suzanne DePass saw, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. Definitely.
you you have to make the audience go, "Damn, that kid's talented as hell." Not the actor, but you have to make the audience go, "I'd sign the shit out of that kid," when you're seeing young Michael Jackson, right? and he the the way he played it is amazing. Um, a couple of things. This doesn't have anything to do with this performance, but I
Mhm.
took this as an Easter egg. Um, one of it's a very emotional scene when one of the scenes where Joseph is being Joseph and young Michael goes into the bathroom. Oh,
Oh my God.
I think that's an Easter egg where the way the camera goes over him.
You just blew my mind because I know instantly what you're talking about. Oh my God.
Mhm.
Oh my God. You
You
just
know
blew, I can see the image and I know, oh my God, chills. I've just got chills right now,
that
Russ, because
that
I know the
you know
image
that
you're talking
you know
about.
that has to be an Easter egg, right? I
Oh
mean,
my
the moment it was
God.
on
Wow.
screen, I couldn't get home fast enough. Shout out to Maddie from my MJ forum. I went and got my original pressing of History. I know he doesn't have one. I do. I went to I went to my original pressing of History, and I literally went like this through it. And I said to Lauren, I go, look at this, look at this.
You've
Like
just blown my mind with this Easter egg. You've just
you
blown
know they
my
did that,
mind.
right? I think you know I'm right on that, right? Like
What
that
the
camera.
moment you said that shot,
Mhm.
because when I was watching it play out in the theater, that camera went over and there was something really familiar about the image. And I thought, my God, there's something sort of iconic about this. Like it almost sort of exists in its own right. Wow. How profound. How profound. And obviously, Russ, the fact that Michael did the iconic, beautiful pencil drawing he done, that moment, that hurt, that situation that he went through as a young child stayed with him, and they found a way to sort of
Yeah.
embed that into the movie.
That was the moment where I said, "Oh, they've made this movie for him." Like, literally, when that camera angle happened in that way,
I can see it
I
in my mind
I
so vividly.
I didn't say it out loud, but in my mind, I said, "Oh, they made this movie for him." And and not to dwell too much on the media, but that was one of those moments where I said, "Oh, this is why they hate it. This is this is for him. They made
This
this
is
movie
for
for
sure.
him." Okay?
Yeah.
Now to go back to young Michael, I will say this, and I'm gonna try and get through this. Um, when he and Barry Gordy are sitting at the mixing board, um, I don't mind telling you, well, you and everyone, none of us have a problem admitting that
No.
we were choked up here, we cried here, we cried there. Um, I was involuntarily like
Yeah.
shaking, crying. I mean, like physically shaking to the point where my I had my son on my left and my wife on my right, and um both my son and my wife like put their hands on my back and were like, are you okay?" And
Yeah.
we, um
It was such a profound moment.
because
There was so much weight behind it, Russ, wasn't it? It was so heavy.
the way he looks at Barry, um it's so much said with a glance, like Lorenz Tate, again, there's so much nuance in the performances in this film. When Coleman Domingo comes in the room and we're all trained as soon as Joe comes on screen, right?
Yeah.
But in that moment, that's not what either Barry or Michael are thinking. Neither of them are going, right? When Joe comes in the room, um, there's so much understanding on Barry's part, just in a look, and there's so much hope and like maybe there's a better life for me in just a look from young Michael at Barry. That I mean, I just literally, I like, I like tears
It
started streaming. I started like just shaking, literally shaking. And then I also, by the way, this is a sidebar and a very personal story that I don't know if I've ever shared this anywhere. Um, on the afternoon where Michael passed away, um, because he passed away around noon, local time here in on the East Coast. And at the time, Zach was 4 years old, my son, and I picked him up from daycare. Um, and that's a much longer story, but the like a moment before I picked him up in daycare, I had confirmed that Michael passed. And I went in and I picked him up, and obviously with a much different demeanor than I usually would have. Um, and we drove home, and I turned on the TV, and MTV was playing all Michael. And I sat on the couch and just started weeping openly. I mean, just shaking uncontrollably, weeping openly. And the next part of the story is going to sound made up, but I assure you it's true. My at the time 4-year-old child
Mhm.
came over and sat on the couch next to me and just started rubbing my back.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, the next part's going to be the part that sounds like I'm making this up, but I assure you it's true. Um, so we just sat there, and I want to say the I think Bad was on the actual like short film for Bad. And I was just sitting there looking at the TV and just weeping, and my 4-year-old is just going like this.
Comforting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Was Michael Jackson a friend of yours?" Because
Oh,
he's 4 and he doesn't know. He doesn't know,
no,
right?
no.
And, I took a couple of beats and I said, Yeah, yeah, he was." Right?
Mhm.
Because, um, I never met him. So many of us never met him. But to me, a friend is someone that's always there for you, someone that cares about you, somebody that directs your life, somebody that has influence on your life, and I go, yeah, he was a really good friend to daddy. And he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Right. So and now you flash forward, and we're watching the movie, and instinctively
The
my
floodgates open for
oh,
you.
and my son starts my 20-year-old son starts rubbing my back again. And so I was already involuntarily having an emotional reaction to this scene. And then he does that, and then I flashed back to that, and I was just like,
You're a wreck. You're a wreck.
I was just like, "Damn it, they better drop a happy song here soon." I was like,
Got something in my eye over here.
yeah, I'm like, "This theater is really dusty. I'm about to drop a like, uh,
What a beautiful moment though, Ross. I mean, do you know what? It was so sad, so profound, yet so poetic and beautiful, and full circle moment for you and your son and
mhm,
Michael being a part of that. And I mean, that just goes to show so what it's like for fans, and what we've got sort of invested in this, and our sort of personal stories are sort of intertwined with our Michael journeys.
yeah,
Um, and metaphorically as well, you've got young Michael there hugging Berry Gordy, and
mhm,
so you've got sort of Michael's pull towards his future life in music, and then you've got Joe representing the 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 whole sort of dichotomy there, and the whole sort of what Michael is it's almost like a sort of precursor is the wrong word, but it's sort of his life is going to become this sort of issue where he's torn between his love for music, and I suppose Berry Gordy represents everything that he can be, and Joe represents everything that he's trying to sort of
that yeah.
emancipate himself and evolve, and it metaphorically there, it's
I mean, it's like, yeah, and I was, I you Yeah, again, we all put our own like personal things on what Michael means to us, but like I said,
Sure.
like right before that bathroom scene had happened, and in that moment, I was just like, "This is for us." And then the Motown scene happened, and then I had that like very personal thing, and all cards on the table. I was like, the rest of this movie can be terrible, and I don't care. You know, like now I do have critiques with the rest of the movie that we'll get into, but
Yeah.
in that moment, I was like, the rest of this movie can be absolutely terrible. They can have him perform Little Susie at Motown 25, and I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I will just be like accurate,
Yeah.
totally accurate. Yes, perfect. You know what I mean? Like,
Um,
I don't care, you know, like so.
so, I mean, and you sort of touched on this leading up to that iconic image of Michael on the bathroom floor, that scene with Joseph. Did they go too far with that scene? Was it too? Or did they go too far with it? Was it not enough? Was it enough to establish Joe's absolute sort of menace over his family and Michael. And then we go along and we see sort of other aspects of it, or aspects of it shown in a different way. I don't want to jump too far ahead in the movie, but I mean, and I don't want to sort of just jump ahead to the Pepsi accident, but the conversation with the doctor
Let me
in the hospital.
let me say this. Oh, you the hot that
Yeah,
that conversation with the doctor in the hospital. There's a and again, we're gonna circle back to that.
we'll circle back to that. But what about the incident in the living room?
So I will say this. I watched two different videos yesterday. One was Brad Sundberg, which if you haven't watched yet, he did just over an hour long review on his channel, which is great. Um,
I'll
I'll
watch
watch.
that today, later today.
Okay.
I get a
Um,
chance.
I watched his video, and I also watched, and I this is well, they don't need my help, but this is an absolute shameless plug. There's a channel called Film Threat. They're champions of independent film. I've been a huge fan of Chris Gore for ages. The main guy that runs it. He happens to be a Michigan boy. He actually grew up like close. I don't know him at all, but he grew up close by where I grew up. Um,
Right.
and I went on in detail on your show last time about
Mhm.
how we need to not even speak the names of the people that are agenda driven and looking for clicks about Michael, but we
Absolutely.
do need to speak the names about the people who are giving Michael a fair shake and uh I don't want to say glorifying him, but giving
Yeah.
Michael at a minimum giving Michael a fair shake.
A fair
Um
shake.
Film Threat, along with Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman, all three US big media outlets, all three of them gave this movie what I feel are fair reviews, very, very fair critiques. But the reason why I bring up Film Threat is because Chris Gore has done a lot of research on Michael Jackson's life outside of being a film critic. He's done a lot of research on Michael Jackson's life. And I watched his review shortly after I watched Brad's. And here, Brad, obviously totally different perspective
Completely. Yeah.
than Chris Gore, right? Both of them said that Joe got off light in this movie. So I know that was a really long-winded way of starting to answer your question, but I in watching the film, I think that they absolutely got across the point of how fearful Michael must have been as a child of him. Um and masterfully showed how fearful Michael continued to be of him. I think that scene where Michael walks in the room and Joe's trying to be a nice guy, and I think it's brilliant where they show that Michael
Unbelievable.
where he where
Unbelievable.
Mike where Michael's almost gonna stand up for himself, and he goes, "I know you just want something." And as an audience member, you're like, "Get it, Michael. Stand up for yourself." And then the moment Joe stands up and they zoom in on Michael grabbing that door handle, and you just go,
Oh,
you know, brilliantly done. Where it's like, no, this man feared his father. Still, this man made Thriller. Millions of people adored this man, and he still was just fearful of this man. So, all of this to say that I think they showed it well. I think they could have gone way further, but I think at that point, if you do go way further and maybe you show it as bad as it was,
you're
you
getting into something much more adult and darker then,
yeah,
and
yeah, you run the risk of even, I let me say this, I've had people ask me, like, within our, like, Jacksonville group, "Is this movie okay for me to take, my 7-year-old to, my 9-year-old to?" And, I've told them, I've said to people, "It really depends on what you think they can handle as far as seeing child abuse goes," and I told in the first, I said it in the first, 45 minutes of this film, it's not just, a backhand from Joe. I mean, this shows some 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 beatings, and undeserved and awful. And I said it depends if you're ready to have that conversation before or after this film, you know.
Coleman Domingo's performance was just unbelievable to me. I just think that he seemed to be able to embody, Joseph in a way that I, wasn't expecting. This constant threat of menace continuously hung over him in every scene. I mean, even in some of the lighter moments, you just constantly felt he seemed to relentlessly have the capacity for utter mayhem and violence. It
Even
just
in even in the moments where they gave Joseph some humanity that I'm sure did exist, like, after the Motown 25 performance, when, one of the brothers says to him, "You couldn't even let him have this," and, like, the look on Joseph's face is so genuine when he's like, "What?"
yeah,
Like, where he's
yeah,
like, "What? I didn't," like, I d I love the way he played that, like, I'm certain in that moment that, and this is like, it's a compliment and an insult of Joe at the same time.
yeah,
I'm sure it didn't cross Joseph's mind that that was a shitty thing to do. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
the biggest compliment I can give Coleman Domingo, and really everyone, and we'll get into Jafar too, is it would be so easy to play Joe Jackson as a cartoon, just
100%.
I'm
Yeah,
mad all the time. I'm Joseph Jackson. I'm just mad all the time. And damn it, woman, and you get in line, boy. And
yeah.
there's so much
Could have
nuance.
hammed it up, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, it would be
Just
so easy to just be, like, every police chief in every TV show. I'm mad all the time, and get in here, and how dare you and your antics, like. But he didn't do that. It's such a nuanced
it
performance.
was such a nuanced performance because even in the lighter moments, you just felt this constant sort of in the background, this hanging over everything, this constant threat.
You know what, one thing I noticed about his performance too is you always hear the justification for Joe is, well, this is a factory worker who just wanted what's best for his kids, right?
As the go-to defense
And
mechanism, isn't
and
it? Yeah.
my takeaway from Coleman Domingo's performance was Joseph didn't even believe that bullshit, right? Ye
Yeah, yeah.
right, like, Joseph
Okay.
Joseph wanted to use his kids to make money, and the my takeaway from Coleman Domingo's performance was when Joseph was saying that to his kids, he was hoping his kids believed that shit so he could just make money off of his kids, right? Like the whole like, in this life you're a winner, or a loser or whatever. He was just
Mm.
kind of saying that to be like, man, I hope they go for this because I'd sure like to not
Yeah.
work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I mean when I say it's a nuanced performance because
Such nuanced performance.
yeah, he played it like a person trying to bullshit his own kids into believing that story so that 30 years later, his kids would repeat that to the media, and the rest of us would go, well,
Yeah, yeah,
you got to think about this with Joe.
yeah.
I feel like whether it's the script or whether Coleman Domingo did his own research on that, I feel like, or if it's a little bit of both, I feel like a lot of us walked out of there going, he knows what's up.
I remember watching the Oprah Winfrey interview in '93 with Michael, and him saying that he, to this day, that he regurgitates when his father shows up. And I kind of, there was a part, I was young, I was only 14, and there was even a part of me though that thought, surely as an adult, he's not that nervous of his father at this point in his life. But when you see this movie and just Joseph Jackson's personality or lack of personality or lack of
Mhm.
humanity or compassion. I mean, Domingo was incredible. I thought he was
Brad,
amazing. I
when you watch
really,
the video with Brad shares a story about Michael's life later than the Oprah interview, where he makes it clear that no, Michael, like, never, there was never a point where Michael got out from under his fear of Joe. And I guess now is as good a time as any to circle back and touch on this. That scene that you were talking about in the hospital after the Pepsi accident. Um, you've seen, I think, I can't remember, we've talked about this. You've seen the Elvis biopic with
I love the
Elvis?
Elvis biopic. Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that
Man, that scene where Elvis just collapses of
with the
whatever.
Colonel. Or
Um,
oh, sorry, with the scene. Oh, yeah, yeah. I get you. Yeah, and
when whenever anyone asks me, and as the years go on, it happens more and more. People say, well, what did Elvis die of? My answer has always been the same. I always say Elvis died from 42 years of being Elvis.
worked to death.
Yeah,
Worked to
from
death. Even
42 years of being Elvis Presley, right?
100%.
And that scene where he collapses backstage and it's played beautifully again, where literally all eyes are on the only person in the room who should be Elvis's savior, who should have a goddamn spine and stand up. You already lost one son at birth. You have his twin laying right there on the floor. Who cares about the money? Who cares about the concert? Who cares about insurance? Who cares about the carnival barker fat piece of shit who's running your child into it's your child, Vernon. It's your child. And Vernon just goes, well, that's what it is. Good amount of you spineless piece of shit.
I know. I know.
Um, I had an absolute flashback to that when they're in the hospital. And Joe, well, how soon can he get on stage? You son of a bitch. You like,
It's utterly heartbreaking, isn't it? The one person that you would hope to depend on to be in your corner to
if Joe Jackson was ever going to have a tenth of a second of humanity, that was the goddamn time, Joe. You know,
and the doctor's reaction was
oh, he
just,
said your son almost died, Joe.
I
You
mean,
know,
the doctor was just in utter disbelief, wasn't he? He couldn't believe what he was hearing, and and then having to remain professional as a doctor, and not
oh man,
sort of, not sort of step out of his line.
because we've all seen like the real footage and everything. The very famous, with the glove up and the thing. Could you imagine being the real life doctors in that situation and just being like if that came out of Joe Jackson's mouth, like you said, you have to be a professional in the moment.
You have to be a professional.
Could you imagine? I can't imagine going to, like, private quarters or something. They must have went to someone and went, "Do you know what that mother just said to me?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they had to have told someone, either went home to his wife or something and said, "You are not gonna believe this shit." You know what I mean? Like,
100%. 100%.
and then people in the doctor's personal life were probably like, "You're making that up." You know what I mean? Like, because you can't wrap your head around such a heartless human being. And I was, I know you commented on it. We were spinning off the wall last night,
Yes.
and I was talking to Lauren about um the fact that this man, his entire life, made such bright, positive, uplifting music for all of us that lifted the world so much. And he was dealing with all of this while he was making this music for all of us. We were working day and night was playing. And I said to her, I said, this song has powered so many parties since, whatever, 1978, 79, whatever. So many parties, so many hugs, so many smiles have happened because of this song. And when you watch this film, and that's just the one song, but think about all of his other output. Um, y- y- when you watch this film and you get an idea of the just mental trauma that this man was going through, and I told her, I said, off the wall, a Thriller, whatever record you want to put in place, could have just been songs of, I hate my life, my father's the worst, isn't everything awful? Um, but
Yeah.
but but
100%.
look what he chose to put out into the world instead, right? Um, and that's why so many of us get so defensive, because this man had it as hard as he did, and it was there was never any "woe is me" moment, right?
Okay. No.
So when you talk about that, like with the Pepsi accident and everything, or even when he's doing, off the wall
Mhm.
in the film, like, he's dealing with so much mentally, and the concern in the music isn't about him. The concern in the music is music and how others are going to be uplifted by this music.
Phenomenal.
And a
Phenomenal.
and again, just to take another shot at the media because they deserve it so much, this is why they hated the film.
This is why they hated the film. This is why they hated the film. Talk to me about the transition between seeing young Michael, Giuliano Valdi, and then we fast forward to 78, and now we have young adult Michael, um, introducing Jafar Jackson. What's your how did that hit you when you're watching that on a big screen
Um,
for the first time?
all cards on the table as the fan reaction started to come in since about Monday. I think whenever the Berlin
Yeah,
premiere,
thereabout. Was it? Yeah, thereabout.
I and I don't put things like this on the internet, but um as the fan reaction started to come in from people who had actually seen the film, not like, people who've been for weeks have been, I saw the film, it was amazing. No, you did not. You know what I mean? No, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
From fans who had actually seen the film.
Well, the embargo, Russ, allowed people to do that, didn't it? Because nobody could go into detail about the movie. Therefore, any of us could have jumped online and said, "I've seen the movie. It's
Right.
incredible. This, that,"
Yeah.
without having to have the responsibility of going into the details because of this embargo. So
Right.
it
Yeah,
created this
it's
sort
the
of
nature of social media. Yeah.
yeah,
But when real reactions started to come out from fans who had seen the film, all cards on the table, with the increasing posts, I started to go, y'all are overdoing it. There's
same,
no
same.
way Jafar is that good. And like, in hindsight,
We know Michael Jackson. Jafari can't
yeah,
be all. Yeah,
like
I would the same.
I even said to Lauren, I said, I'm sure he does a good job. But like I even showed her my phone at one point. I was like, not this good.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
having said that, if I were to give his performance a one word review, damn it.
Damn it.
Right. This this guy, my son and I talked about it as soon as we walked out of the theater. It's not this is not about a moonwalk. This is not about a spin. This is not about a Jerry curl. This is not about an outfit. The eyes. He emotes so much in every scene. You can, and that was Michael. You could see like um when you watch interviews with Michael, any interview from whatever 78 to whatever 2001,
Yeah.
he says so much with his eyes before he's speaking, and while he's speaking, you can tell where he's going next with the sentence because he speaks so much with his eyes.
100%.
And Jafar just like one of the scenes that I can think of is when uh Michael and Bubbles are semi playing Twister because Bubbles is not really playing Twister, but they're having fun, and Michael's having such a blast, and then he goes down to the refrigerator, and when he closes the fridge, in the moment he sees Joe, it's not even about like I don't even think he moved his body, but you just see this complete lock of fear in his eye, like lock of fear in his eyes, and you get it. Like you're just like in that moment, you're like, I bet that's exactly what Michael Jackson looked like every time he saw Joe. I mean,
100%. 100%.
this
They were,
dude, this dude could have done the moonwalk at Motown 25 and tripped and fell, and I would have been like, brilliant performance
you
because
know,
it
Ross,
has nothing to do with the dance moves. It's
anybody could have done an imitation or an impression, but
mhm.
there was something so poetically beautiful about his portrayal. There was something so raw and honest and real about it. I was so moved by his performance, and as you said, with the eyes, there was a moment as well in the hospital when he's in his bed, and it's all done with the eyes, and I thought, "Oh my god." I got
that
chills. I just thought, "This is so." It was just such an incredible
that part where he
nuance.
turns on his side and he takes a before he ever says the line, "It's not your fault," to Catherine. Again, you can see in his eyes that
Yeah,
Michael knows that Catherine's partially at fault for everything, but he's gonna tell her the nicest thing to say to her, right? And again, in his eyes, you can see that he's just saying what he thinks he should say. And again, it's in the eyes.
it's in his eyes.
It's not in what he said. It's not in the high voice. It's not. It's the complete performance. I was I've never been happier to be wrong about something.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, we get it wrong sometimes, and people sort of want to jump down your throat or jump on your back. Listen, we're delighted to be wrong. Absolutely delighted. I mean, for me, it
I
was
think
a revelation.
I
It
think
was,
I even said on your video, I think last time I was on it, I think I said something like along those lines, like, "I hope I'm wrong," or something like
yeah, yeah. I'm sure you did.
I've never been more excited to be wrong. And not that I didn't go into this going, he's gonna be terrible. I just when I saw so much praise laying it on so thick, I just thought, "There's no way it's that good. There's no way." And then when you see it, you're like,
Phenomenal.
"It's every bit of that good.
I,
It's
I, I
every bit of that good."
I kid you not, when it fast forwarded from 70 something to 78, the making of Off the Wall, there were moments almost immediately where I believed I was watching Michael. It was the little mannerisms and movements and the
Brother,
facial expressions, the eyes.
that was my number one critique. I kept seeing people say that, and I kept thinking, "Listen to me. I've been
It
watching
cannot be this.
I've been watching Michael Jackson since I was 7 years old. Don't say that to me. Don't say,
No.
"Oh, there were moments where I thought it was Michael." Don't talk to me like that. I literally I mean, I'm an old man now. The cynic in me was like, "Don't say that to me,
Yeah.
brother." And again, I can't stress enough, it's not the performances. There was no moment during the performances where I went, uh, "Oh, wow, I thought I was watching Motown 25 for a second." It's not that. And I'm not saying
Same.
and I'm
Well, I
not
agree with you. I agree with you. For me, it's in the candid, personal, private moments and the little nuances and the eye, the expressiveness of the eye. For me, those are the real moments. And oh my God.
well, I was telling Lauren that for me, the magic in this film is and because of Jafar's performance is so, I was 7 when Thriller came out. Let's say when I was 9, Thriller Mania is still absolutely happening. The winning all the Grammys, the Thriller short film, everything. The man's on top of the world in my eyes as a 9-year-old. I mean,
Right.
I talked about this on the last time. We walked into Kmart here in the US, and like on the left, it was like uh, jeans, t-shirts, Thriller jackets, Beat It jackets, like this is just a thing in the US. And the magic in the movie for me is this is the things that were like while I was at school as a 9-year-old, this is a glimpse of what his life was like, the things he was dealing with and how his life was going while I was way on the outside looking in, just thinking, "Oh, this is the greatest. This is a superhero. This is the greatest thing, greatest person ever on earth." Like, oh my God, he could, he's made of Teflon. Like, he's the greatest, like, and then you see this and you're just like, this, the performance is just so perfect that you're like, you really get an idea for what it must have been like to be him at that time. And I think that's all we could have asked for as fans is to get an idea of what it was like to be him at that time, and it's astounding to me. Like none of us will ever be able to wrap our heads around what it was like to be him at any given moment in his career. But I think this um gives us the closest glimpse we'll ever have of it, and um it's all because of Jafar's performance. I mean, you can write a script all day long, but at no point in a script or a screenplay can you write, you know, um, like again, Michael turns to his side and says, "It's not your fault." There's not a long enough paragraph to write that says like, and then thinks about these things and puts the care in his eyes too. So like that's all Jafar
That's all Jafar. That's all Jafar.
understanding everything about his uncle and doing so much research. And I'd even take uncle out of it. Like I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
he's just like us. He wasn't around at the time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, he had to have just done as much research as he could. You know,
Well, I mean, he was only 29, I think, when he shot the movie, or was he, or is he 29 now? So when Michael was here, he was very young, very young. So as
right?
you said, he did have to actually earn the role, and the amount of respect I have earned for Jafar over the past week is, I mean, for the first, what did he, so I saw an interview with him, and I think he said for like over 6 months, so maybe I'm wrong, but he had to hide it from his family what he was working on and working towards, and that it still wasn't guaranteed. Um, and when everything is considered, there was almost like there was like a 2.5 or a 3 year period of preparing for this role, before he even, you know, does the
Mhm.
does a screen test, or maybe I'm slightly wrong on that. But I mean, he worked for the
No,
role. He earned the
yeah.
role.
Yeah, the only thing I saw this week was, he was on the Kelly Clarkson show, which, by the way, greatest singer alive. I adore her to no end.
I am
Uh,
such a Kelly Clarkson fan. I am in love with that woman.
I adore her.
I think, my wife and Kelly Clarkson are my two favorite ladies.
I've only seen her live 3 times, but she was amazing all
Have
3
you? I just love her.
times.
I absolutely, you
Funny
know,
funny sidebar, I was in Las Vegas for work once, about 6 months after her Meaning of Life album came out, which, in my opinion, is her best album. I don't think she's ever gonna top it, and I love that album so much. And I was driving up the Las Vegas Strip, and I saw a billboard that was like Kelly Clarkson, and I was like, "Oh, that's dope. I would love to see Kelly in concert in Vegas sometime." And I'd already seen her twice before, and I was like, "Oh, I'd love to see Kelly and I was like, "Wait a minute, that's tonight." So when I hold it, so when I got parked, I like drive, and I look, and there's tickets available for tonight at the joint in Las Vegas, and at the joint, it's a fairly small venue. It's probably, I don't know, 1,000 seater or something. And I was like, I'm buying tickets to go see Kelly Clarkson tonight. And I was in Vegas for work, so I was there by myself. It's a work trip. And I was like,
wow,
I don't care. I'm going to see Kelly Clarkson by my damn self. So
stars aligned.
here's where the story gets funny. So, and I'm a tall dude. I'm 6'1.5". So I'm tall guy. And and at the time, this was 10 years ago, so I was just over 40 years old. And I get to the show, and as you might imagine, the entire concert is populated by uh mothers and their daughters. And then there's me, the six the just over 6 foot a solo guy standing
You,
there.
you didn't feel awkward at all, Russ, did you?
Let me give you an idea what the crowd looks like. Here's the crowd, and then there's me, right? Like towering
Brilliant.
above everyone, right? And,
Brilliant.
and good on them. All of the mothers in the crowd were side eyeing the shit out of me. Like all of them were like, "Why are you here?" Like, which I would too as a parent. I would absolutely be like,
Yeah.
"Why are you at this show?" Right? And and I literally kept, like, for the first, she opened with Walk Away, and then she went right into songs from the new record at the time.
Yeah.
And I kept, like, on purpose making eye contact with, like, the moms and, like, mouthing the words to, like, the non-singles
So
and
to let them know you were a fan, legit.
being like, "I promise I'm here for this. I'm not
You're
here."
here for the right reasons.
Yeah, "I'm not here for any of your daughters at all." Like, I'm and there were more than a few moms that, like, literally, like, with their drinks were like, "All right." Like, you know?
You've earned the respect.
And
You've earned the right to be
I
here.
even talked to a couple of moms, like, after the show and, like, on my way out and said the same thing I just said to you, like, "I'm a parent too, good on you." Like, I would have absolutely been like, "Why are you here?" Like, that's very strange that you're a 40-year-old dude on your own at a Kelly Clarkson show towering over all these teenage girls. Um, you know,
Living your best life, man.
yeah, but anyways, to go back, the one interview I saw, which was part of this week, he was on her show, and they talked about that, and yeah, he talked about the 2 years that he had to work for it, and again, that was before I saw the film, and again, a certain amount of me was just kind of like,
Yeah,
yeah, but you're a
yeah.
Jackson, but
Tour
yeah,
marketing and
you're a Jackson though, so like I'm sure it was a rigorous, and then
yeah.
you watch it, and then you watch the film, and you're like, my bad, dog, I it actually was like, you did the work, dude.
My
Yeah.
reaction was like, "Oh, so he's doing this performance." It's like he is doing Michael just like
Mm.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. I
And there's
mean,
so many things when we say this is the film he deserves, that's what I mean. Like,
right, I get you. I
it's
get you.
not a cheap imitation
No,
of
no,
Michael
no,
Jackson,
no.
it's not someone who just said, "Oh, well, I'm gonna, if I just talk like this, then I talk like Michael."
Yeah.
Like, it's because anybody could do that.
it's not somebody who's learned their lines the night before and are doing an impression. It's the literal embodiment of
Even
Michael's spirit
you
on the
know,
screen.
one thing
Um,
I keep hearing critiques about, oh, the CGI bubbles, I don't like the bubbles, blah, 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 blah. The sincerity with which he plays all the scenes with bubbles
yeah,
is brilliant. One of the scenes that moved me so much, and I don't think there's an animal in the scene, but when Catherine says, blah 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 blah, all these pets, and Michael gets damn near mad and said, "They're not pets, they're my
and
friends."
they're my friends.
And that
Brilliant.
that line on the page is cheesy as hell. But coming from the real Michael Jackson, it's brilliant and it's moving, right? Um, and the way Jafar delivers that, it's not cheesy. You go, that's a thing Michael would have said in a way Michael would have said it.
100%. His performance is a revelation, and people have got to go and see this movie for Jafar alone. It is worth the price of admission alone just to watch this man's performance on the screen. It
Mhm.
is unlike anything we've ever seen ever before. What about the supporting cast? Did Miles Teller as John Branca do a good job? Was his position in the movie justified? Was he because there were so I'm going to say this, right? There's a scene with Michael and he says, Branca, I want you to do something for me. And now I love where it went, but what I was expecting, Ross, was actually I was expecting him to say, I want you to buy the Beatles
Yeah.
catalog or the no, don't get me wrong. I love, because again, we're kind of going back to Michael's fear of his father. And
Mm.
what about John
By
Branca?
the way, my theater roared when he said that. When
Same. It
no,
was a
but
beautiful moment. It was.
when do you want that done? As soon as possible. My theater
Yeah.
roared when
Yeah.
he said that.
It
Uh,
was. It was worth it. It was that moment. Well,
sidebar, I said this in my review, with my son, and I'm just gonna put it out there because, on your video, because I liked saying it.
mhm.
Yes, I also thought that they were gonna say that about the catalog. Um, and the reason why I wanted him to say that is because Paul McCartney is a lying liar who lies a lot. And I wanted deeply for that to be there. If nothing else, just a line.
Just a line, just a
Just,
line.
you know,
Why
um,
do you think that was omitted, Ross?
uh,
Would it have rocked the boat with the McCartney camp, with the
oh,
company, the movie makers? Was it?
brother, I'll tell you, I think that and we can get into things that we think were, you know, there's been a lot of, you're never going to believe this, but there's been a lot of uproar amongst Michael Jackson fans for the last couple of days.
Mm,
Some of it justified, some of it I find hilarious in the worst way. Um, some of again, touching on a previous video, some of y'all need to calm down.
yeah,
Some of y'all need to calm down. Like I've seen these lists from MJ. Where was so and so? Where was so and so? Why did they do this? Why did they do this? First of all, no one asked you. Second of all, we live in a world in 2026 where the entire world in one voice is giving the media the middle finger on Michael Jackson's behalf. Can't you just be happy? Damn it. Like, stop with these lists of, they didn't include this and that person was left out and whatever. Like, stop it.
yeah.
Stop, 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 stop. Be happy.
The moment is so much bigger than all of that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Damn it.
So
Um,
much bigger.
but like, I would have loved for that to be there. But I do like there are things that I think, um, I'm sure you've heard the phrase choose your battles, right?
Yeah.
The Whether we all like it or not, and like I'm a Beatles fan to an extent.
Same.
So,
Same thing as well.
whether we all like it or not, the Beatles are an industry unto themselves. Um, and you can't just go throwing around things like that. Like
No,
what
no.
again, because I'm on your channel and you and I don't report to anyone and we're not part of the quote, traditional media, I
Mhm.
can say things like Paul McCartney is a lying liar who lies a lot because Paul McCartney is a lying liar who lies a lot, right?
Yeah.
But if you or I reported to any sort of powers that be, when you go to process this video, they're going to be like, great video. We're taking out,
We
the
can't
full
include that. Oh, yeah, that's gotta go.
every single time that he said that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's a fact of life. Like that's a thing, right? Same thing as personally, I would have loved it if there was a moment when Off the Wall came out where he was like, and can you even believe that Rolling Stone told me they won't put a person? Yeah, but we're looking at there are bigger things at play here. Like
There are bigger things in the industry.
whatever
Absolutely.
parent company owns, like Rolling Stone is a relic of the past now, sure, but whatever parent media company owns Rolling Stone is a very powerful force in 2026, right?
And whoever from the hierarchy is sitting on such a at such a company and
Yeah, and there's people like me, you, and everybody else who can just say, hey, by the way, just so you know, and you can Google it and you can bring up that letter and you can show someone. It doesn't have to be there in
no,
in
no.
the film, right? So that's ultimately, I think that that was left out, at the risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, because of the powers that be.
I
I
think so, Russ, I think so. I think so. There's no other reason for it not to be included, and I think this is the consideration that a lot of the fans have to make, is that actually there are so many different people from different camps in that professional, industry that have to be sort of appeased and and then going on to sort of affect future relationships to do with future projects that tie in with different things. So there's a lot of considerations to be made. It's not just as easy as you said, as yourself and myself coming on here, just being able to sort of say Paul McCartney is this, that, and the other. There's too many. The political fallout from doing it the wrong way, I think, would be just probably
I
too much.
like there's so much in this movie that is right that makes huge strides forward for
Yeah.
Michael's narrative that people I have in the last 3 days have had people, and the movie hasn't even, like, well, last night it officially opened in the US, but in the 2 days of previews,
Mm.
I've had people send me DMs. Did this really happen? Did Michael really do? Is that there are huge strides that have been made forward in Michael's narrative from this film. Let's be okay with that. Let's celebrate that. Like again, all of us can sit back and just say, I can't believe this wasn't in it. I can't believe that wasn't in it. But like we have got, for all of us who sit back and are so mad and rightfully so at how Michael Jackson is mistreated, we have got to celebrate the victories when they happen. And the entire world is celebrating Michael Jackson right now because of this film. And for us to sit back and nitpick every little thing about it.
It's to completely miss the moment. We're talking about something that in its 2 preview nights has beaten the all-time record by more than double the figure. This is taking on a complete life of its own now, Russ, and
Could you and I have even guessed
no, no, I mean,
in our wildest dreams? We just did that video, whatever, 2 weeks ago. And I don't even think either of us wanted to
no,
take a guess at what the box office was. I
no,
think if you would have asked me, I would have been like, I'd rather not answer that on camera. You know what I mean? Like, because I was so scared
I
as to
know,
what
I
would happen.
know.
This movie, even without the full on onslaught from the media, this could have flopped so hard.
So
And
hard,
the world in one voice is saying, we love Michael Jackson.
100%,
You know,
100%. Um, and it's after it's after tapping into the consciousness of the general wider public in a way that I've not seen in a long time. And I don't want to come across as though I'm over exaggerating or overselling it. I
You're
mean,
not,
this is a
you're not.
cultural phenomenon at the moment around the world. Everywhere, people are coming out, showing up for this movie. They're not just showing up; they're getting full cosplay. They're dressing in full Michael costume. They're wearing the t-shirts. Um, People are getting up on the aisles and dancing and celebrating uh,
I I
wow.
have I have a friend of mine who's, a minority choice over. He's a person of color, and he's a member of the LGBT community, and, um, he's not he loves music, but he's not super duper into music. He's the first person to admit that, like, every song that comes on, he's like, I go, "Oh, man, blah, blah, this song," or whatever else, and he's like, "Who is this?" And I'm always like, "Dude, this is I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston," you know? And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I knew that." I'm like, "You didn't know that." He's like, "I didn't know that." You know what I mean? Like, he's
Yeah.
that he loves music, but he knows nothing about it, and he's the first person to um, and he sent me a reel yesterday of middle-aged white guy, pot belly, just dancing his ass off in the theater by his damn self, you know, you know, 4 rows in front of whoever was filming it. And I sent him a message back and I said, I need you to understand that this is why I get the way I get about Michael Jackson. No one, no one on planet Earth has that effect on people. I said, you are looking at just by the looks of it, 40, 50-year-old white man
Yeah.
who doesn't care what anyone's thinking. And he is getting the fuck down because Michael made that okay for all of us to do. And I said, you are watching the entire world right now celebrate a person of color who spoke about unity and love and accepting each other and celebrating our differences long before it was ever an agenda or it was a talking point or it was something to hashtag or it was something to uh, force into a movie plot or cancel someone over because they didn't agree with or whatever. This man just believed in it. And his songs, his earlier songs weren't even on those topics, but it's how he lived and it's how he exampled. And then when he got big enough, worked it into his messaging, but not even in a, uh, you know, you should live like, and I know he didn't write it, but Man in the Mirror. It's not you should go out, and it was, that
Yeah.
I'm doing a thing. I'm changing me,
I've
and
got to make a change.
yeah, and he wrote back. He just wrote back, heard, and he was with us last night at the distillery, which I've sidebar. I'm going to tell a story about the distillery in a second, but he was with us last night at the distillery, and he gave me a hug, and he goes, "I'm starting to get it."
Wow. Wow.
Right,
Wow.
and this is why. Now, again, we're gonna. I have on the outline. We're gonna get into like things that I have an issue with in the film, and you as well. But like, so that's not to say we can't go. We don't have to sit back and go. The film was perfect.
No, no, no.
About Michael Jackson. The film is perfect. But to sit back with these lists and they didn't do this, they didn't do this, they didn't do this, they didn't do this.
It's to completely miss the point, to completely miss the moment. It's
Call me itself.
to do that is to completely miss what this moment is. And Ross, the significance of this moment as well. People want to go out and they want to celebrate this man's life and the music and the joy and just be happy and forget about their problems for a few hours. Life is so hard now for so many people. There's so much depressing stuff. The news is 24/7. Prices, cost of living has risen. People have had enough of everything. And I think with Michael Jackson, it's almost feels like it's the final nail in the coffin. It's like we will not be told what to think, how to feel about this man or this movie, and we're going to go make our own minds up. We're going to bloody enjoy it. We're going to celebrate, and we're going to make, form our own ideas about all of this. Um,
The world in one voice, as you and I are recording this,
yeah,
is saying this, and this is a direct quote.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
real quick, I just want to tell you this, and so we walked into the distillery last night, and we knew
Mm,
they do name that tune every Friday night, and we knew we were going to get there too late to play. Um, so we walked in and it was in progress, and uh, because of the biopic and everything, I'm sure we walked in and Heartbreak Hotel was playing. Um,
wow.
when we walked in, and as soon as we walked in, I was like, "Oh hell," I'm like, "Oh," you know, and uh so we're up in the bar getting our drinks, and Heartbreak Hotel ends, and the DJ he goes, okay. He gives out points for artist, song, and year for so you went up to 3 points for every song, right? And well, I kind of knew what I was getting into when I played that one. I figured nobody would get the name of the song, even though it goes by two different names. He goes, I kind of figured nobody would get the name of that song. Um, he goes, I wasn't sure if anybody would get the year. He goes, but I almost want to end the game now because nobody in this place got the artist. And he goes, furthermore, I am disqualifying these two teams. And he pointed at the two tables and he goes, because they wrote The Weekend.
The way
He flat out called these people out. And me, I was like, what? And literally Lauren was like, calm down, calm down. And I was like, what? And I mean, the DJ just made a whole thing of it. He was like,
yeah.
on what planet do you think the Weeknd even come close to writing or singing that song? Like it was just great. It was
Oh,
yeah. So
that's a moment. That's a moment. Um, when was the last time, Ross, as a fan community, we felt this good, felt this vibrant, felt this carefree, felt that, even over here, I was listening to the radio the other morning and they were playing Remember the Time and They Don't Care About Us, songs that I haven't heard in a few years over here on the radio. Um,
I I can't.
you know,
I can't. I like instantly you want to say, this is it, but that even there was so
yeah.
much sadness around that's not even comparable, you know.
Is this bigger than This Is It, Ross? Is this a bigger cultural moment? Is this a bigger sort
Um,
of shift in the
I
zeitgeist?
I think on a lot of levels, yes, but like the celebration for sure. Like
There's no dark cloud over this.
yeah, like with this is
No.
um yeah, and I've told this story in my own podcast before, but I went into my first viewing of This Is It, just telling everybody that would listen. I was like, just so you know, I'm going to cry through the whole movie. And I didn't. I didn't on the first viewing. Um, and piece by piece by piece by piece, light man is revealed, right? And when Michael was, I, I got the biggest smile on my face, and I was just happy to see him again through the whole movie. It was very much like, and again, to reference my son, as Michael Jackson, your friend, it was for me, it was my first viewing of This Is It in the theater was just it was almost like I mentally blocked out that he had passed. It was like, "Hi, friend. Like, it's good to see you again." Right? And kind of a amusing sidebar is I have a friend who is at the time was an overnight nurse, and so she couldn't go with us. She's like the only person I know that didn't we had like 30 of us in the theater, and she's the only person I know that didn't go with us the night I saw This Is It. And so the next morning she texted me and she goes, "Hey, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do you have it in you to go see it again?" I said, "Oh my God, yes." I was celebrating the whole time. It was awesome. I was all smiles. And she said, "Well, do you want to go now? I said, oh yeah, I'll go right now. And this poor woman, it was just her and I went to see it my second viewing, her first. And piece by piece by piece, we open and Lightman is revealed and Michael's on stage. And I started weeping.
Piece
And
by piece by piece, Ross broke down.
did
Yeah.
not stop crying for the entire rest of the film. Like, because in that viewing was, oh my God, he's gone. Right.
Yeah.
And this poor woman, I could text her right now and go, I could text her right now and go, I'm on a podcast telling a story about this is it. And she would be like, you son of a bitch.
You broke her, Ross. You
Yeah,
broke her.
yeah. I just sat there crying through the entire film. And the whole time she was like sitting there being like, are you okay? Are you okay? This is great. Are you okay? Because by profession, she's a care worker, So
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like, she's
Wow.
trying to enjoy the film, and she's just like, are you sure you're okay? Are you? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And she's like, God, this is amazing. Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And she must have said, are you okay 10,000 times during the film. But there's so much celebration here. I mean, he's still passed on. We're 17 years, which is insane to think about. We're 17 years on now. And again, if you would have asked me even a week ago, is the whole world going to be celebrating Michael Jackson in a week? I would have been like, no. Well, the biopic's coming out, Russ. Are you sure? No, I'm positive. The entire world, people are going to go see the movie, but is the whole world going to be celebrating? No. The entire world is celebrating Michael Jackson right now.
It's I mean, we've you've gone into this is it, and we've sort of been there before, but like, have we ever been here before? I don't know. It's I've never quite seen anything like the sort of change there is in the air. There's something in the air this time around. People are no longer trusting the media as well. I think people have sort of
This
just
time around. What a great name for a song.
what's that?
I said this time around. What a great name for a song.
This time around.
Mhm.
This time around, Ross, it's something very special going on at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. And it speaks so much to him, who he was, and his legacy. Like, this is not a person there was not an ounce of fake. There was not an ounce of disingenuous. There was no jaded, like this is a man who, the reason he resonates so much with all of us is because he's that guy. Like like, and I'm referencing it again, but when my son at 4 years old asked me if he was my friend, there's a reason why I took a second and then I said yes. I would never say that about, it wouldn't cross my mind to say that about any other celebrity. Like, I've met a large amount of celebrities. I'm actually friends with a couple of, so like I can text a couple of, like, quote unquote celebrities, and I think of him more as a friend than I do them. And it's because he's that genuine guy. And I think the dumbest critique that I read this week was, um, and I didn't learn anything new about him as a person. Did you watch a different film than I did? Like,
Yeah.
you must have watched a different movie than I did.
I mean, if you can't,
And again, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no, you go, you go.
Well, that's what I mean when I say the media came into this with an agenda. Oh, it's just a cookie cutter biopic. No, it is not. Every biopic, every music biopic tells you nothing about the artist as a person. They go, here's how he wrote this song. Here's how he wrote this song. Here's how he wrote this song. Then he won these awards. Then he won these awards. Then he did drugs. Then he died. That's every music biopic, except for Elvis, the latest one.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It does go there with that stuff, doesn't it? It does.
This movie, and again, it's just a glimpse, but it gives you a glimpse of who he was. And how you walk out of this film and say you didn't learn anything about Michael Jackson as a person is two things. Either one, you're deaf, dumb, and blind, which, like, why are you at the film then? Or you went in with an agenda.
Like Ross, I listened to one critic online saying that they turned him into Jesus, and I just think, so you watched this movie, on the screen, you see Michael Jackson's humanity as a human being, and your interpretation is they tried to turn him into Jesus because he was a sensitive, loving, caring,
Now,
isolated, eccentric young man. They turned him into Jesus because of why? Because they showed a side of his humanity that the media don't seem to want to jive with or
yeah,
want to sort of.
I
I
I
don't
I
get that at
engaged
all.
I shouldn't have, but I engaged with a so-called film critic on
Mm.
YouTube the other day who flat out said, "Oh, and then they made up this story about Beat It, where it was so cheesy." And he was like, "I'm gonna bring gangs," and I'm doing this is exactly how the guy said it, and and he was like, "I'm gonna bring gangs together," and it was just so cringy because nobody and I was just like, "Okay, I've had enough. Like, I can't help this." So I wrote out a comment about, like, I'm sorry that you live in such a negative and cynical world where you saw that scene and it was so wholly unbelievable to you that you didn't get the 7-inch device out of your pocket to even Google it and
Yeah.
see, like, it never even crossed your mind to see if this is a thing that happened before you set up your little studio and went on the internet to say how wholly unbelievable and stupid that scene is and make yourself look like an idiot by saying how cheesy and unbelievable and untrue this thing that really happened is. And I said, I'm so sorry that you live in such a cynical and negative world. And this guy replied to me and he said, "What makes you think I live in a negative world?" And I said, I just answered that question.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're asking me because I just answered that question in my comment. Like, to live in a mindset that is so negative that you don't even Google something to see if it's real before you go on the internet to tell everyone how dumb this scene is because it's so wholly unbelievable. Why didn't you just Google that? And then go on and go, you know what? When I watched this, I thought, damn, how cheesy and then I Googled it and said, holy crap, that happened.
Lo and behold, it was. You know.
You know what I mean? Like, why not? Or even say, I so I Googled it and I found out that happened, but I still didn't like how it was shown in the movie. Say that,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Be honest, and
Yeah, and like you said, but like,
but do your due diligence
yeah,
before you're going to make a video and proclaim it this as if it's
and the other thing with the media, um,
mad.
there was some headline I saw, the movie won't stop showing Michael, visiting sick kids. Well,
Oh,
this movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes, and
what
okay,
what did we see? How many minutes of him with sick kids? How many
um,
minutes?
no,
Less than.
I don't wanna correct you on your own show. Uh, it's not minutes,
It's not even
seconds.
minutes. Seconds.
There is, and I looked this up, 9 seconds of footage of Michael Jackson with sick children in this film out of 2 hours and 7 minutes. There is 9 seconds of
Seconds.
mhm, but
Seconds.
but according to me, the film won't stop showing you footage of Michael with sick kids, right? And, here's another thing that's lost on people that is a fact that happened that none of us, me and you included, none of us would do. And I pointed this out to my son as soon as we left the movie. I said, I need you to understand this is why this man has such an influence on our lives. And Michael's part of the reason why I've raised my child the way I have and why my child turned out to be such an awesome kid. Um, so the Pepsi accident happens.
Yeah.
Worst thing in the world that could happen to him. What's the first thing that Michael Jackson does? Does he go, "Woe is me. This is the worst thing ever. Holy crap." Does he sue the hell out of Pepsi? Does he go on TV and go, "And another thing, everyone
Mhm.
should know that Pepsi is the worst company in the world, and I'm Michael Jackson, and I have the world's ear, and I'm going to sue everyone," and nope. This man, as soon as he can walk, goes and visits people who have it worse than him. He says, "Just the back of just the back of my head was burned. There are people in this hospital whose entire body is burned. I'm gonna go visit them." Right? That happened. And again, you look at the media's review. Oh, well, then they show these scenes of, glorifying him. It happened.
It
It
was a life lived, and that's the way it played out. And actually, as well, I think that he gave the money. That's in the movie, isn't it? He gave the money to the burn center. He said, "This needs to go to this," and that was his reaction to what happened to him. How did you find it? It was quite horrific, that Pepsi accident, and especially when he was being stretchered out, you get a sort of there was one scene that was sort of like an inner perspective. We're not looking out through his eyes, but we're sort of the noise from what's happened to him and the pain he's going through seems to be sort of magnified in that scene.
was very moving
Very, very moving.
because I, like everyone else, have seen, the photo with the band in the
Yeah,
I mean, it's an iconic photo. All of us have seen it.
iconic. Absolutely
And
iconic.
for as much as all of us love Michael, um, there are things about him that will always still be fantastical, that will always be, afar, that we can't, and when you see moments like that, um, as much as you see that and you go, "Oh my goodness, that's," you don't think about what he must have been thinking in that moment, and I thought that was brilliant, the way they show, like, when they did that, like you said, you don't see it through his eyes, but when they closed up on his face and you hear his thoughts, and that I can't even imagine what that would the fear
I
and
love I love how you just said what you said. You said we hear his thoughts in that moment when he's being stretchered out, Russ. Like I grew up looking at that iconic image of him with the glove being stretchered out, and my thought growing up was, "Oh, he's wearing the glove when he had the accident." Now we're seeing what he's actually going through. And that just sort of, for me, that was like a complete tailspin in my head. I was like, oh my God, this is horrific. This is just, you know, here's me looking at the glove thinking, oh, Michael's wearing his glove. But, you know,
and yeah, and again, it just makes him so much more. Again, that's why I say, how do you walk out of this film and go, "I didn't learn anything about Michael Jackson"? Like
oh,
I in that moment, I learned, hey, that's a human being. Remember that. That's a human being. This man is, to us, a superhero on many levels. That's a human being. Remember that. That's a human being.
a- another one of the comments, or a number of the comments I've seen, is something along the lines of like that they've turned it into a concert, like that it's like going to see. Was there even that many live performances?
I didn't think so.
I don't think it was oversaturated with live performances. There was a few, but I don't think it was the equivalent of going to a concert. Okay, in those moments, what did you think of the live performances, Ross?
I
What?
think I think when they happen, I think they're amazing recreations. Like, as a person who, humble brag, saw Michael on the Bad Tour,
You
saw him
saw him on the bad tour, didn't you?
I saw him, uh, humble brag to the humble brag, I saw Michael on the Bad Tour before it left arenas.
Oh my
So,
God!
I saw him in a
Wow.
20,000 seater.
So you sort of saw him in the situation that every fan on the face of the planet Earth will want to see the action. I mean, that's sort of my holy grail, is like an indoor American arena show.
Yeah, and
Um,
we were on the side of the stage, so we were not 300 feet away from Michael. Um, and it's kind of funny near the end of the film. I don't know if you know this or not. Did you know that I fainted right at the beginning of the concert?
You fainted?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I always tell people this. So,
Wow.
well, so, he, do 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 do, and he goes, "Poof," and we were on the side of the stage, and so he pointed in our general direction, and we were not, I mean, we were maybe 300 feet away from Michael, and he went, "Bah,"
Wow.
as Michael does, and I went like this, hand to God. I was 12 years old. He and I went, like, like
I
down.
get it, man. I get it. I get
And
it.
so obviously they rushed me to first aid. I was out for the rest of Wanna Be Starting Something and Heartbreak Hotel, and then I came to during another part
Pardon me.
during
Wow.
another part of me. And I remember clearly like coming to and being like, wow, what happened? And like, what? And then I remember being like, Michael Jackson's performing. And then I like ran out of first aid. There was a whole scene. My mom had to like fend off first aid because they were like running after me. And my mom was like, you will, I remember clearly hearing,
Missing the show.
clearly my mother goes, you will let him enjoy Michael Jackson. I remember hearing that. And then she had to sign paperwork that was like, you won't sue the Palace of Auburn Hills. Hit his head. But this,
Wow.
this was very humorous. But when they go to the bad concert scene, the very first person they show pass out, they show a woman pass out and get taken over the barrier. And I leaned over to Lauren and I said, I don't like that they cast me as a woman.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I said, I don't, that's rude. I don't like
Oh,
that
God.
so if Michael fans want to get all mad about inaccuraccess, I have
Well,
one to pick
there
the
you go.
because they
Oh,
ca
yeah, there you go.
I
If
was
anybody should be mad, it should be you.
I was a 12-year-old boy when I saw him, and they cast me as a 30-year-old woman. I
That is
no
brilliant.
one called me. I did not receive a call from, Antoine. Jafar never called. No one
Oh, my
contacted
days.
me. So that part in the film is wildly inaccurate. No one is talking about it.
That's
Um, but,
brilliant. That's
but that's
brilliant.
but and the reason why I brought that up is I had another friend go see it, Thursday night, and he immediately texted me, of course, "Oh, my I love the film, holy crap." And, he's significantly younger, he wasn't around for any sort of Michael mania, and one of his questions um, was, he said, "Do you know if Michael Jackson concerts were really like that?" And I said, "Well, as a person who saw Michael on the Bad tour, I can tell you that that last scene in the film is every bit of what it was like to be at a show on the Bad tour." And he was like, "I can't even imagine." He goes, "I just walked out of the movie and I still can't imagine that." And I said, "The all I can tell you is that is exactly what it was like." So, having said that, as a person who was at a show at the Bad Tour, um, I'm looking forward to my second viewing because now knowing how accurate that was, I'm excited to rewatch the other performances because now I know how
Right,
accurate that one was. I'm
right.
excited to rewatch the other ones because when I was watching it the first time, I didn't really understand how accurate the performances were. And I don't mean, again, I don't mean Jafar doing a brilliant performance. I don't mean Jafar doing a moonwalk or whatever. I mean the
The entire scene, the
yeah.
whole depiction, the
Mhm. So I'm excited to watch it the second time for that now, to like rewatch those earlier performances and go, okay, that must have been what that was like. Because now I know that
the well, like you, Russ, I think I'm actually probably more excited now about going back the second time because now I sort of get to relax and let go of all of the stuff I had going on and just be able to sort of settle into the movie and sort of enjoy it now on a much easier level and to just allow it to sort of speak to me now in a much sort of larger way. I have to be honest. When I got home, and the following day, I was worn out from it, and I think I was carrying a lot of sort of stress and anxiety into the movie, unbeknownst. I mean, So to go back a second time now after seeing it, I think it's I'm happier. I think going back. I think I'm happier going back.
It's interesting you say that because, when we came out of the theater,
Mm,
obviously, I was just and then
yeah,
and then my son and I came right home, we went right to my office, and we shot the video that's on my channel, and then I said to Lauren, I said, "We're gonna go in here, we're gonna shoot this," and I said, "Obviously, when I come out, we're gonna all discuss this at length," and
yeah,
she was like, "Okay, I know," and, we shot that video, I rendered it, and I put it up on YouTube,
yeah,
and I came out to the couch, and when I sat on the couch, I sat on the couch and I went,
yeah.
like, and I said to her, I go, "You're," jokingly, I said, "You're off the hook." I don't have it in me
I
to,
was the same. I was the same. I was
you know
worn out. Gus.
yeah,
Well, I was exhausted. I was exhausted.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and it literally was like, I don't know, it was almost a whole day before I was even, like, ready to even, like, start talking about it again. Because, like you said, yeah, like, there's so much going into it that it was just like,
so much,
yeah,
so
that
much.
I was just and coming out of it, it was like, there was so much I was just like, "How did this exceed my expectations?" Like, what like,
Yeah.
like, and processing Jafar's performance and young Michael like, I just was like, "I don't I don't think I can process this whole thing right now." Like, yet again, Michael Jackson, who was not even in this film, has left me speechless again.
Mm,
You know, and
same.
and exhausted and overwhelmed in in only the way Michael Jackson can do it, in the best way.
And that's it, isn't it? So we had the build up to it and all of our sort of feelings going in. Then we had our initial reactions as we watched it, and all of the things a lot that go along with hand in hand with our journey as we've gone along as fans, and like the things you've sort of talked about that sort of tied in with your own personal experiences, processing Jafar's performance, watching Domingo's performance of Joe Jackson, coming out um, an exhausting process for fans such as ourselves, absolutely exhausting. Um, Lauren got off lightly that that night, but you captured lightning in a bottle with Zack, your son, and I think you sort of went about it the right way. You knew to sort of get it while it was sort of hot, and but it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
exhausting.
I'm glad we did that right then, because even the next day, I think both of us would have been like, I think the video the next day would have been the 2 of us being like, "I liked it a lot. I really did." You know what I mean? Like, I think we just would have been like, you know, not been able to, express ourselves, in the way that we wanted to, so I think that was speaking of which, my son flew home to Detroit, Thursday night,
Right.
and he, he didn't get into Detroit until, 10 p.m. on Thursday, and my my
Wow.
son my son sent me a, text, at 9:55 AM on Friday that was a picture of him in the theater holding up his, popcorn fedora, um,
Wow.
right? He says, well, he sent me that, and I said, "Attaboy." Like, so my first of all, my son's already seen it again, which I have now.
Have you seen it a second time already? Has
Oh, yeah,
he?
no, yeah, he went at 10 AM on Friday to go see it again. Um,
Wow.
this is why this is how you know you raised the right kid. Um, I said, so he sends me a picture of him in the theater holding the popcorn because he was there. And I said, I replied, I said, "Attaboy." And he replied to me and he goes, "When I was buying my ticket," he goes, "I literally got the last ticket to the 10 AM show on a Friday." He goes, "This is sold out. I got the last ticket." And
Wow.
and then this is what's great. He goes, "As I was buying my ticket, the guy at the counter said, yeah, I don't know what happened in the last 24 hours, but this movie's gone nuts, like we're selling left and right. And then my son says, and I said, "You goddamn right you are." And I was like, "That's good parenting." That's
Oh, that's good parenting,
yeah,
Rob.
like, and I will say this, I said, "Make sure to tell me what, after your second viewing, make sure to tell me." Um, and he said that he picked up a ton more on his second viewing, and, he had the same thing, that there was a lot that he was watching from a critical eye the first time, that the second time he was ready to just enjoy. So I'm excited for that. We have friends in town this weekend. I'm overjoyed to see my friends, but I'm also kind of like,
Yeah.
damn it, this means I can't go see it again till they leave town. Um, and
Isn't
I
there a way to do
literally,
it?
like Sunday, they want to go to a place that's about an hour south of us, and I literally am already thinking about
Right.
how can we break free from them early enough on Sunday so we can
Oh, dear.
so, like, I'm already trying to figure out how tomorrow we can break away from them so that we can go see it Sunday night again, so.
I think we're all going through it. We're trying to navigate our way through our commitments in our real lives just to get back into the theater now to,
Yeah, which is, I keep telling people, which is not a thing I ever expected.
no,
I tell people, I'm like, I did not plan to see it again because as I detail, I wasn't joking when I was on your channel or when I talked to anybody about this for the past year. I went into this thinking at any moment I'm gonna get up and walk out. So, I did not plan for a full first viewing, let alone a second viewing, you know? Um, and, so I literally was like, "I'm not prepared for this. I need to now I need to figure out how I can work in that second viewing," Like, because I yeah, for everything all of us, uh, love about Michael Jackson,
mm,
it's a hard road sometimes being an MJ fan, and unfortunately,
yeah,
for
100%.
many reasons we have already touched on, we are trained to expect the worst, and I was prepared for the worst, and again, I've said this phrase a couple of times in this already. I've never been happier to be wrong. Uh,
Same, same.
I'm I'm overjoyed that I am now in a state of panic in having to figure out when I'm gonna see this film again. You know what
I
I mean?
I liked what Questlove said. Questlove went into the movie to see it with his notepad and pen, and he was picking out inconsistencies and things that he felt they got wrong. And he said at a certain point, he said, "I put my weapons down and I just let the film speak to me." And he ended up loving the movie.
You
And
know,
that's what it is, isn't it?
and I we don't even need to spend much time on this, but I
Mhm.
my 2 biggest nitpicks, if you wanna say it, are, I the thriller short film when it's in the film is just like for me, it's like the film is going along, and then it just feels like suddenly they were like, "And here's part of the thriller short film." Like, it just is like, it's just there. Like, it just
Missing the context, isn't it? It's just sort of
yeah,
inserted into
yeah, it's
the
just so
piece.
to me, it just feels so odd, and I'm not 'cause I've already seen, a bunch of fans on, "Well, I can't believe they showed it before Motown 25." That's music biopics move things around, whatever. I'm not concerned with that. Um, what just from a filmmaking standpoint, it's just like the movie's going along and there's such a flow to it at that point, and then they like literally put the brakes on and they're like, "Remember Thriller?" And you're
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, yeah, I do. I do."
it was jarring. I had the same sort of, "Oh, we're at Thriller now?"
Yeah, yeah, but like
Yeah.
now I personally have a theory. And this is probably stretching a bit, but I think that that scene was meant to show that Michael will stand up to everyone but Joe because he
Right.
speaks up to John Landis, like one of the biggest directors in the world, about no, you need to shoot this way because I'm Michael Jackson, goddamn it, right? But my thing is, first of all, that might even be a stretch. And second of all, if I have to put that together as a big, huge Michael Jackson fan, um, and I'm guessing that's what that was supposed to show, then the average moviegoer is certainly not going to get that point. You know what I mean? So, like,
I kind of like that as a theory, though. And when I go back now tomorrow to see it, I'm going to keep that in mind. I think that's quite interesting. Bit of a stretch, and as you said, for casuals, they probably won't get that. But I
mm,
mean, that's a kind of an interesting way to put it. There was a friend of mine said the other day on one of the forums that he thought this lined up as nicely as a prequel to Moonwalker. Now, obviously, Moonwalker is it's not the same thing, but I kind of thought about that for a few minutes, and I thought that's kind of interesting, maybe just to sort of have it as a prequel to
yeah,
Moonwalker.
that's my guess for that scene. I think that's what they were trying to show, is that he'll literally stand up to anyone
Yeah,
except for Joe. Um, but anyway, that and then and again, this gets into the whole, well, they left this out, they left this out, they left this out. But the enormous time jump from him walking off stage at the Victory Tour to walking on stage at the Bad Tour, instantly I was just like, but so much, but
yeah,
here,
yeah.
but again, you're looking at adding another hour to the film by adding in, We Are the World and these things that, and then casting for We Are the World alone
I
is
know, I know.
outrageous. You know what I mean? Like even if you cast, one scene where there's a camera angle on a quarter of that room, that's an insane casting call and a
Insane.
lot more money. You know what I mean? So so my two nitpicks, I think, are really nitpicks, and I think the bigger of the two is just from a film standpoint. It's so jarring how like it's going along, and it's just like literally the film goes, here's the short film.
Yeah, that got me as well, to be honest. It was like, whoa, we're here now. But what about going into a part two then, Russ? Like, so where do we pick up? So do we pick up? Do they pick up in '85 and attempt We Are the World? Does We Are the World have to be included? Could they use some sort of montage?
I think
How
montage
do
has
they
got to be the way to
tackle
go. I think that if
them?
you're gonna, ideally, the way I would like the next film to start is the same way this one began and ended. You show Wembley, like show him going on stage at Wembley, not the whole bad performance, but like, show him be the man. Because I guess and this is another thing, by the way, with the fans online. Please stop reporting every little thing you think you heard and every little thing that like somebody told someone else. Stop it. Like,
As gospel.
yeah, like you're not helping. You, you're not helping anything, because these big fan accounts, when they retweet this stuff, other people start reporting it as fact. And I don't know if you know this about Michael Jackson. This is a little known fact. Sometimes things get misreported when it comes to Michael Jackson. A lot of people don't know that, but
You
sometimes
know, hey.
sometimes things get misreported when it comes to Michael Jackson. You're not helping anyone or anything by going, "Oh, look at this thing that I know." No one cares. Stop doing that. Um,
There's a lot of there's a
yeah,
lot of that, isn't there?
there seems to be, there's the speculation about other songs that were filmed from the bad era, Another Part of Me, and so on. So like maybe even turn that into a montage or whatever. But yeah, I think that you could quickly montage the end of the um victory tour through the bad. Excuse me. And then what I would like the very first focus of the film to be, the sequel, is to very much acknowledge, hey, remember in the first film how we touched on vitiligo and we talked about his skin color changing. And I don't I don't need a whole preachy section about, and here's facts you should know about vitiligo, and I don't need to see Michael so upset about him personally. What I do need is a full on um calling on the carpet of the media and them just because that's the moment, like as soon as the bad album cover was shown, the media was just like, Andy turned himself white.
Yeah,
Liars.
yeah, yeah,
Liars. You knew better the entire time.
yeah.
This is a genetic disease that he was born with, and you knew it the whole time. And I want that to be the very first thing that they show in the film, because that's such a narrative. To this day, you go into social media comments and people, yeah, oh, he turned, well, the skin bleaching. And yes, there's a certain amount that says, well, you could just Google that and find out that's wrong. But these people had just been told this as fact by the media, since 1987. These people have been told this as fact by the media, right? And so I would love it if it starts right there.
And that's it, and they can do that with they don't need to sort of pinpoint certain media publications, but they just need to hold the general media to account. They just need to hold the situation and call it out for what it is, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? They need to sort of hold for hold the media, the broad mainstream media around the world just to account for the way they sort of took that and ran. And what about ET? There's the ET story. So there's We're the World, ET.
You know,
Or you know what? We've kind of moved past that, have we? Because didn't he wasn't one of the Grammys for that was for the
yeah,
ET storybook or something? Yeah.
and again,
How do you fit everything? It's
right,
impossible, isn't it?
that's my thing. I think, and we're crossing into fantasy land now, but I think to even tell the rest of his life, we need 2 more films.
I think so. I
Um,
think so.
and even then, I think you have to leave out Someone in the Dark and We Are the World. And like, there's like to even cover the rest of his life in 2 more films, you're still going to have to leave out a lot of stuff
Captain
that like us as fans would be like, I can't believe, but a man lived a life that just cannot be covered in any sort of traditional way. Like what all of us love about him is how untraditional he was in so many different ways. And so to sit back and go, I can't believe, like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, my whole life I've had the widest smile looking at Michael Jackson, go, I can't believe, in the best way, right? So why would I sit back now and go, oh, I can't believe? Like, why am I angry about it suddenly? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm fast forwarding way ahead, but do you think they're going to cover Sony burying Invincible? Absolutely not, for like 10,000 reasons. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, um, I'd be happy as hell if they cover Invincible at all. Like, let's envision a future where let's get crazy and say there are 3 films. So,
Yeah.
let's envision a future where there's a Michael Jackson soundtrack and people walk out of the theater going, did you know Unbreakable is a motherfucking jam? Let's celebrate that.
That's the approach we've got to change. Is that yeah? The people are too sort of caught up in their own expectations, and but how do you capture a life that had so much? And what was it like for the production of this to even try to begin to know where to begin? And how can you include everything?
It's impossible. I the only thing I can say, and I mean this in the nicest way, is then go watch a documentary.
Then go watch a documentary.
And the other thing is, y'all already know this anyways. So why do you need this in a film? One of the silliest things I read yesterday was from the MJ fam was this comprehensive list of everything that was left out. And the first thing on the list was where was Stephanie Mills?
Oh,
And I have a massive amount of respect for Stephanie Mills.
absolutely. But come on, I mean,
Let's start with I have a massive amount of respect for Stephanie Mills.
Mm.
On what planet does anyone walk out of that movie and go, "I am super glad they covered Stephanie Mills." You you know
I, where do we stop? The gardener? Do we need to put the zookeeper in? Like, that's
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, yeah. I
you
for
know,
one I for one am so glad that the mailman was in it because I would have been livid if they hadn't covered that mail guy. You know what I mean? Like, calm
yeah,
down. You know, there's just not, you know, you know, there are so many like
yeah.
MJ fans who don't even know much about like her involvement with Michael's life and everything. And it's like, then why do you
Why
think that
even?
it's going to be time in a biopic to include, you know, this thing? Like you say, like, let me put it this way: if they didn't cover We Are the World, why do you why do you think that they were going to spend any amount of time on that? You know, and the whole and then there's other issues that I keep hearing about too, like the Janet of it all.
Mm,
First of all, it's not up to you whether or not Janet's in this film. Janet Jackson is a real human being with her own thoughts and emotions and whatnot, and it's not up to you whether she wanted to be included in this or not. First of all, second of all, um, the film is called Michael. It's not called Michael and a bunch of other people named Jackson. You know what I mean? The film is
absolutely.
squarely about Michael. And I know all these fans who have done all their research go, yes, 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 but she was really his best friend as a kid and blah blah blah. And but the film isn't about
No.
that.
And it can't, Russ. It can't deliver on all of these expectations and demands. It just can't. Last year, I saw So I'm a bit of a Bob Dylan fan as well through my father, and I went to see No Direct, A Complete Unknown. Was it last year with Timothy Chalamet? And that focused really only on probably two pivotal years in Dylan's life: his arrival in New York and his sort of breaking into the musical scene, the folk scene, and then becoming sort of who he became. But it omitted so much in that 2 years, and it really only sort of focused in on his relationship with his then girlfriend Susie Rotolo and
Mhm.
record label stuff. And Chamelet did he win an Oscar for that? Was he up for an Oscar? And
I don't think he won, but I think he was up for it.
so tying that in with Jafar's performance, is Jafar likely to receive a nomination,
Oh,
or have the media sort of decided that already?
no, that no. For two reasons. One is legit. Um, Music biopics just don't get play in the Oscars. Usually. Um, I'm sure someone is feverishly typing a comment right now. I before
How
before
dare you?
well, before they hit send on that comment, I think Jamie Foxx did win for Ray.
I think you might be right on that one.
But by and large, biopics don't get play at the Oscars. That's just a thing. They just don't. And here, I'll make Michael Jackson fans extra mad. Weird the Al Yankovic story got completely ignored by the Oscars, which is gross. Um, I'm just kidding. That, it was
Weird Al Yankovic is probably a compliment. It's
no, that
probably,
movie was hilarious, but it never would have been considered for an Oscar. I just was saying that to be
I
funny.
watched that movie and I loved it when
Oh,
it came out. I loved that movie.
and by the way, Madonna has still not been brought to justice, which is
I'm
because
a casual,
you know the film is completely accurate. Uh,
really.
100%. People are talking about how inaccurate, the MJ fans are mad about things. That Weird Al movie is 100% accurate. Madonna did kill Weird Al in 1985, and she still be brought to justice. Weird Al did write Beat It. It's a very accurate film. Uh, but yeah, so that's a legitimate reason why I think why Jafar won't get, and you know,
The politics.
put my fan conspiracy hat on. There ain't nobody in Hollywood or the media that's about to honor Michael Jackson for anything. And Brad talked in his video about, yeah, but the Tonys honored Miles and the MJ musical. Um, I
Yeah,
just don't. I can't envision a world where Hollywood says, and we're giving any award
yeah.
to.
Not even Coleman Domingo as a supporting for some best supporting as a sort of a backhanded way to sort of give it an award to kind of. But it,
When we're filming this, we're what I don't know, 8 months out from the Oscars. I'll say the same thing I always say. I would love to be wrong.
yeah,
You know, I would love to come on your channel when they announce the Oscars and go, "Holy shit!"
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to be wrong. I just don't.
Don't see it
And
doing
again,
it.
if you would ask me a week ago, is the entire world going to be celebrating Michael Jackson in a week? I would have been like, no.
Yeah,
I will be because I celebrate the man every day. But like, I no. Um, I would
have,
love to be wrong.
have we reversed roles now in society? Are the fans the ones who are can sort of walk around the world now with their heads held high in pride, and it's the media who are the ones who look like the sort of insecure bunch of kind of idiots and sort of being shown for what they are? Or am I getting way sort of too confident and ahead of myself?
I
Um,
I think that you're on the right track. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're getting there. I Yesterday I saw a lot of what I call like real world talk, like not those of us who sit and think about this guy all the time, like I
yeah.
saw a lot of like real world chatter online yesterday, and
Mm,
a lot of it was real world people who, let's say, people who don't have Michael Jackson as their profile picture and so on, or that
yeah.
aren't there.
They don't have all of this going on
Yeah,
in their office.
yeah, who aren't doing things like
Yeah.
this. Um, and a lot of them said, I saw, many, many comments where people were like, "Hey, I don't think I'm gonna read," and I'm not even gonna say the name, that one outlet anymore with their, fruity, uh, uh, ratings. And, um, I replied to one person because they said, "I really wish that this particular outlet wasn't, relevant anymore." And I replied to them and I said, "I have the best news. They're not relevant anymore. And this is proof." And and the person replied to me and they said, "I didn't I didn't think about it, but I think you're right." And again, this is just a random person. I don't know who that is. But I think things like this are things that make people stop and go, "Yeah, I don't need the media to tell me how to think anymore."
No, we don't. And
You know?
that particular, fruity place, between the fan ratings and the critical, I mean, it just shows the complete disconnect from what the public and what people actually want
Yeah.
in comparison to what they want the agenda to be, and
If you need any proof of the agenda, you just look at their rating for, and I love doing this, the documentary that
yeah,
came,
isn't that something?
you know,
Isn't that, that's
which
a hell of a coincidence, isn't it? It just happens to be.
yeah, like I personally, and this is just me, I would never recommend someone to watch a film where people fantasize about
No,
that
no,
particular topic.
no.
But that outlet seemed to think everybody should go watch this fantasy.
Crazy.
Like I have no interest in that topic, so
No,
I wouldn't watch a documentary on it in that's based in reality. I certainly wouldn't watch a documentary where two grown men fantasize about it. Um, and that outlet was like, "Hey, you should all definitely watch this." Um, as opposed to this biopic um that's all about things that happened about a person who cared about like passion, compassion, and unity and love and togetherness, um, and has very real world events. In a world where we are told by the media constantly that we have to care more about people's trauma and things that happened to them, and how people became who they are. And you always see that great meme, unless it's Michael Jackson, right? Um,
How
and
true. How
the,
true.
the media said in one voice, you know, all the stuff we tell you all the time, we don't actually mean it, right? And the general public said, okay, well, first of all, we don't listen to you on any of that anyways, but on this particular topic, we for sure aren't listening to you. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I would love it if going forward this continues to change the narrative. You know, you're gonna, and again, I know I talked about this last time. What I think is gonna help the most
Mhm.
is if we as fans continue to amplify um everything positive, or at a bare minimum fair. Like I referenced it earlier, like Film Threats review, Chris Stuckman's review, Jeremy John's review. I need to be clear. These reviews are not these guys going, this is the greatest biopic in history of
No.
the world. They're fair they're good reviews.
I really appreciated Jeremy Jan's review because I go to him for a lot of sorts of insight sometimes. You know, if I want to get an idea, as you said, Ross, he had his issues with the movie, but he was fair. He was so fair, and I
And
think listening to him, he even you get the impression that he's aware of what's going on with other critics, and he's just presenting it as he sees it.
and we need to amplify those, but because, and I will die on this hill if we stop giving these people what they want, which is the clicks, which is where they get their money. If we stop making saying shitty things about Michael Jackson something to make money off of, I promise you they will stop saying shitty things about Michael Jackson because it won't be an industry to make money off of anymore.
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm not saying that if we stop amplifying these people that they're going to turn around and go, did you know he was the best person ever? I'm not saying that,
Yeah, yeah.
but they'll move on.
They'll move on. They'll
If
move
we
on.
just stop amplifying them, if you give them a reason to make money off of saying shitty things about Michael Jackson, they're going to continue to say shitty things about Michael Jackson. So stop doing that. Right. So in the past, like 2 days alone, again, the prominent social media accounts, yes, they've been retweeting the good box office numbers and stuff,
But they're all doing the thing.
these stop doing that. Don't reply to them. And like I said, I replied to the one guy I shouldn't have.
We're all guilty of it at times. We do. I've been guilty
over and over and over. Don't do that. Like amplify the people that are, and also don't jump down the throats of the people that are giving it a fair take. You know what I mean? Like I saw yesterday in the comments of Chris Stuckman's review, which is a very fair take. If you haven't watched Chris Stuckman's review, watch that too.
I'll check him out.
I saw people in the comments just MJ fans just shitting on him for having a fair take. And it's like, you guys,
no need for that.
I know I've said this on your show so many times. You're not helping. You make all of us look fucking insane. Stop it. Yeah. You know, like it's a fair take. It's a fair take. Like it's not a perfect film, but this is a person who is a very prominent film critic giving a fair take in the face of the entirety of the rest of the media in one voice saying this is a terrible film.
100%.
Don't go in his comment section and be like, and you're the worst. You know, like stop doing that. So
there's these extremes.
I can't wrap my head around the entire world celebrating Michael Jackson right now and finding a way to like amplify negative things. Yeah.
A sort of a little aside from that, 2 weeks ago when I spoke to you, you said something that sort of resonated with me think you were sort of referring it to literally anything online, politics, music, entertainment. Go out in the real world, and the opinion is completely different. And that seems to have manifested with this biopic. It's like the real world is amplifying and lifting this moment up and celebrating versus what the online narrative has tried to be. They've tried to control it. And that sort of, I really liked what you said the last time, Russ, because that sort of gave me a little bit of self reassurance in myself as well. And I just really liked it because I can tend to sort of fall into the trap as well of seeing doom and gloom online and thinking, oh my God, the whole thing is collapsing in on top of me. You go out into the world, nobody cares. People are getting on with their lives. People are loving this movie.
Mhm.
Um, I went
And
to the theater, and it's, yeah,
oh, it's just awesome, isn't it? Like,
it's just to be able to breathe the air and just sort of
oh,
have a breath and relax. And it's a beautiful moment. It's an absolutely beautiful moment in
you
time
know,
on the earth.
when the film was over, well, first of all, I just sat there and clapped for a while, and I was wiping tears, and um, I said the first thing I was able to say was that was the movie he deserved. Um, and when we stood up, I turned around, and there was a group of women about 4 rows behind us, and they were all sitting there, still just sitting there, and I mean, all of them were like
Wow.
over, and I just thought
Yeah,
that right there, like,
that right there.
like, and I just thought, and like in that moment, I thought, who cares if the thriller scene was jarring? You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit? You know?
100. And that's it, isn't it? It's the moment is bigger than the little holes we can pick in it. And I mean, I think for Jafar's performance alone, Giuliano's performance as Little Michael is well beautiful. Loads of little Easter eggs now. I guess we're going to pick up even more when we go back that second time. I'm seeing it tomorrow in the IMAX. Are you back? When are you going back to see it? Have you got those initial plans
Yeah, we
ready to go?
saw it in IMAX initially, which was amazing. Um, and do you have over there? Do you guys have ScreenX?
No.
Okay, so
I may be wrong. I may be wrong, but I don't think I saw it. I believe on the second biggest screen, which is like a step down from IMAX. I'm really looking forward to IMAX because
so our first viewing, I saw it in IMAX, which was amazing, and then I saw an ad for something called ScreenX, and I was like, I don't even know what ScreenX is. So I looked into it, and
mm,
ScreenX is kind of um like as tall as IMAX is, it's the like the wide equivalent of IMAX. So it's 180 degrees.
I've seen something online.
Okay.
My
And
wife maybe
we
has showed
have
me
we
something.
have 15 minutes from us a theater that does ScreenX, and I've never heard of this before.
Wow.
So I Sunday night when we go, we're gonna go see it in ScreenX. And there's actually a trailer on featuring Jafar um on YouTube to like give you an idea of what it is going to look like in ScreenX. And just from that little video, I was like, oh, I'm going to go see this in ScreenX. Like,
Wow. Wow.
in short, it envelops you in the film.
My wife showed me something yesterday, and that must be it because it's the whole thing. It's the whole.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so in the from what I understand, in the moments in the movie where they can widen the film without degrading it, they do.
mhm.
And in the moments in the film where they can't do that, they use like lighting and effects to fill it to add to it. So I would imagine, like, let's say a concert scene or whatever, like they use timed lighting and whatnot to.
Oh,
So all I can imagine is it's gonna enhance the concert scenes
oh my God.
even
It's
more.
going to be incredible.
Uh,
Absolutely incredible.
so yeah, I'm overjoyed to go again. The only nitpick I had about our theater experience was that we went at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday on like the very first early access. And here in the US, everybody gets out of work at 5. And so, excuse me, my son and I and my wife all were, I was nice enough to loan them pieces of my Michael Jackson wardrobe, which I thought was very nice of me.
They're honored.
Yeah. So we went to the theater, and I'm thinking, man, we're gonna walk in, we're just gonna party down. And we walked in, and like almost no one was there. And I was like, well, I looked at the auditorium online, like it's sold out. Where is everyone?
Where is
I
everyone?
didn't put together that like it's 6 p.m. So like
People are coming from work, and
people had to get out of work. They had to go, probably went to dinner or ate something quick or whatever. And and previews are whatever, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, right? So the lights went down at 6, and I thought, and I was thinking, why is no one here still? This is weird, right? And I mean to tell you, between 6 and 6:20, almost all of Jacksonville came in. Like
everybody at the same time. Yeah.
But every person that walked in was white socks and black shoe. I saw Thriller jackets, the whole thing. And then my thought was, okay, assuming I stay for the whole thing,
It was a good start.
well, I thought as soon as this is over, we're gonna party in this theater, right?
Yeah.
But then it was such an emotional experience that literally all of us were just like,
Had to be picked up off the floor.
yeah, and like it wasn't a sad feeling at all, but all of us literally, like, even when we got up and were walking out, everybody that was around the theater, and again, we're all standing there like people, none of us knew each other. We're all standing there wearing various degrees of MJ stuff.
Mhm.
And like, again, no one was sad. Everyone was just kind of like so blown away by the film that everybody was like quiet. Like people were just kind of like I literally saw like a woman walk out of the theater, and she stopped, and she just like, let's say the theater doors over here. She was like this. She was like,
Yeah.
like just looking, and she was just like she literally was like, I can't believe what I just saw. You know what I mean?
Trying to take it all in and to
Mhm.
sort
Yeah. And so it was almost like, man, I couldn't party before the film because nobody showed up early. And then I couldn't party after the film because we were all taken aback by how awesome Michael is in the film. Damn it. So I'm hoping that when we go on Sunday, everybody's ready to party, like, if nothing else, I'm going to do what my son did and just go. Oh, but that's another thing. My son said he went around to every single person in the theater, and they said, um, he went around yesterday and told everyone that he had already seen it, and they were in for a treat, and
Oh, wow, wow.
people kept saying, "Well, it just opened today." And he's, "Oh, well, my dad got us early tickets." Right.
What a guy your son is, what a guy.
He's awesome, man. And
Oh, man. What a time for you, Russ, to be there with your wife and your son and to sort of just all of those memories and all of that part of your life. Wow, wow. It's hard to put that into words, isn't it? It's hard to sort of, and you can just, I feel you, man. I really do. All you can do is just be full of appreciation and gratitude. And it's a moment. It's a moment. Maybe it's because we're a little bit older as well. And we've lived lives and have certain experiences, and something like that sort of speaks on a level. It says a lot without saying everything, but you know, um, powerful stuff.
I think that, you know, I I don't even know what I believe, religiously and higher
Mm.
power and all that, but man, for all that the man endured while he was here, truly not knowing what I believe, I hope that there's some way he can see all of this. You know, I really do. Like, I hope that there's some way that he can see that, the world in one voice is saying enough, and we're here to celebrate you. you know,
Oh, so sorry.
and we will not listen to the media anymore. And the um vocal minority is, first of all, just that, a minority. Um and no one, like, if you go into Facebook comments, and we talked about this a little bit before, and you go into Facebook and you go on Twitter and you see, of course, there's every so often there's these jackasses that leave the, oh, it's a movie about a, and I won't say the word,
Yeah, yeah.
um but you notice no one's engaging with that. Nobody.
No, no.
There's not, if you look on Facebook, there's not even an angry emoji. You know what I mean?
What is it? People have sort of moved on.
No one cares.
Yeah, I think you're right, Russ. I think we've moved on. I think we've emotionally moved on.
And that's what I mean when I say I hope he can see that, like, I hope
Yeah,
he can see that, like, no,
I hope so.
no one cares about your ignorance,
No,
you
no,
know?
I hope so.
Like, literally, the world in one voice right now is saying, "This is what we care about," and by this, I mean, not just Michael Jackson, um, what he stood for,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
I've said this so many times, it's not about Billie Jean is a really great song. It
No,
it's about, what he stood for, what he talked about, how he lived it. Not This isn't a guy who stood on TV and went, "Hi, I'm Michael Jackson, and you should love your fellow man." And then, you hear stories, God, that guy is unbearable behind the scenes.
yeah,
Every story you hear, if anything, you hear, yeah, God, he was a pain in the ass to deal with. Why? Oh, because he was just so nice to everyone. You're like,
literally everyone who had anything to do with him or worked with
yeah,
him, go,
you know?
Russ, like nobody had a bad thing to say. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
so I just hope that that's what I hope that there's some way that he can see that this is, and even if he can't, um, I know it's cliche to say that the phrase "the truth runs marathons," but this is a man that, we're 17 years on since he passed, and I would have never guessed that the tide would even begin to start turning this
it,
relatively fast, right?
absolutely.
Think about 100 years from now, when all of us are gone. Um, you talk about legacy.
Absolutely,
People
absolutely.
are going to be discussing his music, his message, um, b- for hundreds.
Hundreds of years,
Of
and
years.
that's what he wanted, wasn't it? He wanted his to be immortalized through his work, and I think he's achieved that. I think he's achieved, and I think we can. His spirit seems to be in the air at the moment.
and
Definitely,
and
and
and it's never going to leave.
no,
And
no,
and and
no, certainly
and,
no time soon.
and when people sit back and they say, "Well, why does the media have such a?" This is why, because
This is why.
they were not able to control him while he was alive, um, and they cannot control him after he's gone. And
No,
there's nothing the media hates less than someone that they can't control, and particularly when they can't control the narrative on someone.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
you can't control it. You can't control genuine. You can't control love. You can't control uh a, a force. You
No,
can't
you
control.
can't do it, man. You can't.
Yeah. There's a reason why when someone comes out of the woodwork to share something positive, um, and all of us go, "Oh my God, I've never heard that before." And then 100 other people go, "Oh, I'm glad he said that. I didn't want to share that because it's a personal story, but I'm glad he said that because," and then
Yeah,
100 other people go, "Oh yeah, no, I was there that day. That happened." Right. And then when somebody else comes out of the woodwork and goes, "This terrible thing about MJ," there's a
mhm,
reason why that person stands alone, and then their story quickly falls apart.
100%,
Right.
100%, man.
Um, because it's one thing to say all these things. It's one thing to sing about it. It's one thing to put the visuals in your short films and your performances. It's an entirely another thing to live by that standard. And this guy lived by that standard first and then talked to us about it. And what the media is so mad about with this film and Michael Jackson in general is that this film shows us that he did live by that standard. And um,
Absolutely.
what's so funny to me is you think Saint Michael is an insult?
I'm after sort of taking it on board. I actually quite like it. I'm sort of using it in my own sort of
Yeah,
fun
like,
way. I'm going to see Saint Michael.
have
You
you
know,
honestly, because we're both of a certain age, have you ever seen a more spectacular backfire on the media?
I think in all the decades, Ross, I think this one is the most. It's the sweetest one for some reason. There's something so beautiful about it, and I think it's more than just the fans. It's the wider, larger, the public at large. Just people.
That's the thing. It's usually just, I don't mean just us because there's a ton
Yeah,
of us, but it's usually us
usually just us.
sitting back going, listen to us. Damn it, that's not true. Or,
Yeah, I've
the
never seen anything like this ever.
the entire world right now. And again, I used this quote earlier, and I'm going to say it again. The entire world, and this is a direct quote, is saying in unison right now,
In unison, absolutely.
well,
Ab-
which, by the way, I do want to say this. When the facts came over in the movie,
yeah,
I literally went like this
yeah.
in the theater, and I heard a woman 3 rows behind us just giggle, like, yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, because the theater was dead silent, and
Yeah,
the facts
she
came over,
knew.
the
She knew.
facts came over, and I just went like this,
Yeah,
and, wearing the glove, right? So I went
yeah.
like this, and I heard a woman go, and I was like, "Well, look, Michael wanted me to do that."
When you know, brother. When you know. Okay, we're going to have to wrap up. Final thoughts, Ross. Final thoughts. How? Yeah. I mean, I suppose that we've left nothing unsaid today, but
Well, I mean, in wrapping it up, my thing is, I just it's not it's not a perfect film. It was never going to be. I talked to you 2 weeks ago, and at that time, my thought was, I have several points in this movie where I may just get up and walk out.
yeah,
Um, for as many inaccuracies that have been said about Michael Jackson, we need to celebrate how accurate this film is to what it is saying. And we need to realize that there is zero chance they were going to be able to include anything near everything, let alone everything. So, as a person who has, for whatever, 7 years now since I heard about this happening, has been cautiously optimistic at best,
yeah.
now's the time to celebrate. You know, like the whole rest of the world is celebrating Michael Jackson. We need to be on that train.
We need to be on that train.
All of us, all we ever do is sit around. We're a miserable bunch in a way. All
It's
we ever do is sit around and wish that people would celebrate this guy. It's happening.
Ross, it's spectacular the way fans retreat back into themselves when what they wanted to happen is actually happening in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
And it's still about, oh, well, they didn't include this and this. And I'm yet the whole world are just reveling in complete
Let me, you know what?
joy.
Here, this will be I promise this will be my, this will be my final thought. Um, you use that like when a casual fan comes to you and goes, "Oh, I love the movie." Don't go, "Oh, well, they left this out and they left this out." Go, "I'm so glad you love the movie. Did you know that he was even more fantastical than they showed you in the film?" Like, and not initiated. They didn't cover this. Go. They didn't show you. They didn't show you this, but he did this, this, and this too, and they didn't even have time to show you that. Like
That's the opportunity this presents. Yeah,
see this. Be the reason someone Googles something positive about Michael Jackson.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Don't be the reason someone Googles what did they leave out of the Michael Jackson movie. Don't be the reason
Absolutely.
someone Googles that. Be the reason someone goes, wait, he for real had a whole production from Disney about, and it was called, what was it? Captain what? It was EO, like EO, like just EO. Oh, okay. Be the reason someone Googles that.
That's it, and that's what this is, isn't it? This is the doorway to the entry point in. This is an entry point. Nobody's saying that it's perfect. We're certainly not saying it's perfect. But what we've done here today is we've focused, I guess, on the positive aspects of it. There's more positives than negatives there, Ross. There's 100%.
Anymore. So many positives.
You know, and you reinforced a lot of that for me as well, you and Zach, with your review, because I was sort of with myself. I was thinking, you know, am I getting too ahead of myself here? Maybe I need to be a little bit more critical, but no, I think for Jafar's performance, the stuff that they include, the way they have humanized him and captured his humanity and truth and essence is unlike anything we've seen. And then soundtracked by that wonderful, wonderful soundtrack of music, the cinematography, the vividness of it all, the performances.
Anyways, that's one thing I gotta Google. I gotta find out who wrote a lot of those songs, because whoever wrote I mean, there's some good music in this movie. I gotta find out who wrote, because that's spectacular music.
Is it Brank, John Brank?
Yeah. According to the film, it might have been John Brank.
You know what? I'm not even.
Who even cares, man?
You know what? But Branca played a part as well in Michael's story. And look, they didn't include the ATV catalog, but I don't. His inclusion in the movie hasn't upset me. And I'm going to go easy on him because you know what? Life is too short, and we've got actually here too much to celebrate.
That's what I'm
happy about.
There's too much to celebrate.
Let's put down the weapons and let's actually enjoy.
When you watch Brad's video, I don't think he talks about it with respect to John specifically. Maybe he does, but Brad talks about that. Like, let's knock it off with the.
Let's knock it.
Like, yeah. It's time to celebrate MJ.
It's time to celebrate. I've put our details on the socials below. Where can guys reach you? Well, I've put all that. So
you've got it on there. I am going to send you, like I did last time, I'm going to email you a couple of quick pictures, like the one about before we left for the theater. I'm going to dig something special up that I'm going to send to you that you can just put on screen whenever.
Fantastic.
That relates to my son. And it's a tweet that my son put out randomly, I think almost 6-7 months ago now. But and I'm not even going to spoil it for you.
No spoilers.
It has to do with, and I was not prepared for this. I just 6 a.m, I checked my phone and saw this tweet my son put out, and it has to do with my parenting of my son and how it relates to Michael Jackson. So I'm going to look this up. I'm going to screenshot it and I'm going to send it to you, and you're more than welcome to include it in the video.
We'll include that. So you guys watching will have probably seen that by now, or maybe now is the time to show that. But yeah, we'll include that, Ross. Of course we will. And thank you for your friendship. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey. I just have loved every moment of your interacting with you and just sharing this experience, Ross. And you've just been a phenomenal fan and a friend. And I really, really, really appreciate you for being here today. We will catch up again at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure. We will find another reason to talk about.
We won't nail it on the cross right now, but we will organize something. And I guess between now and that next time, me and you and I, we're just going to enjoy this moment for what it is, and that's what the fans have to do now as well. Um, Anybody as well sitting on the fence about going to see the movie and they don't want to support it for this, for Branca, for Sony, for this, go and see the bloody movie. Go and see the movie. Put your weapons down. Go and see this. Watch Jafar, and
Yeah,
just
I said this at the end of my son and I's video, but Michael Jackson was here for us and continues to be on so many different levels. Whatever your personal agendas are,
yeah,
or justified issues you may have with this film for whatever reason,
mhm.
you need to be here for Michael in this moment.
Absolutely,
I don't
absolutely.
care. Don't go watch the film. Pay for the damn ticket. Go
Pay
online.
for the ticket.
Go
Yeah,
online. Go online and buy the ticket, and then I don't care. Go on Twitter and say I didn't watch the movie. I don't care. Just
yeah.
you need to support this man who continues to support you through everything in your life, and
100%.
so
100%.
yeah.
And that's it. It's a beautiful movie, not perfect, but some beautiful performances. And it is a love letter to Michael. It's a love letter to the fans. It's a moment of celebration, of unity, of peace, harmony, and understanding. And it brings a bit of joy into the world. And what more could we want at this point in time?
Couldn't be happier that the media hates it.
Yeah, and that is the absolute cherry on top of this cake, this
They
very large cake.
they hated him too.
Absolutely. And it's poetically beautiful. I don't think if I don't think it could have sort of happened in a better way if it had been planned, if it had been it's the media's orchestration has sort of completely works against them in this instance, and backfired monumentally. And this movie, excuse me, this movie has now gone from can it make 100 million to it's looking like it could probably make 200 million and exceed every expectation.
To paraphrase Michael from the one award, it's gone from where is he to here he is again. Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, that's where the curtain. We can't top that, so that's where we'll leave it.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Russ, my friend. Thank you everybody for watching. Um, Please like and subscribe. Thank everybody for being here, Russ. Thank you, and please go check out Russ's channel as well. Check out Russ's review. I'll share links below as well in the description. And thank you, everybody. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.